Everybody loves the underdog in March Madness, of course, unless they're beating your favorite team. So I want to see how far I can take a one-star school in the greatest college basketball game ever. I'm coming off a 29-1 season in my coaching career, but I feel like I've peaked with Morehead State. So I've been looking around at some other job offers, and we have a few I'm really interested in. The first one is actually Eastern Michigan. I want to be a part of the MAC conference. They're currently ranked 13th in the country, which is a big step up from the Ohio Valley. But if all I'm considering is the best conference I can get to as a coach right now, Evansville's another option. They're ranked 14th in the Missouri Valley. Then we have Boston University. They went 24-7 last season, and they have a roster of some really high overall players. But if that's all I'm looking for, Troy is a 74 overall freshman shooting guard. They went 26-10. Their conference rank is also on the level I'm looking for. And that leaves us with the final option, Miami, Ohio. They went 22-8. They won the MAC conference. Their arena seats 9,200 people. And here's the thing, they have the best roster for me to inherit off the rep. So that at least gives me a year buffer to recruit some of the prospects that I want to get on the Redhawks. And that's why in the end, I'm sold on it being them. For the first time in my coaching career, I'm going to accept a new job offer. And the main goal of this video is to rebuild Miami, Ohio until we can win March Madness with them. This is a big step forward, but I'm glad we got to take over this position. Their old coach retired. And I've already been able to find a new assistant I want to go after. We have better stats with him if we are able to sign Hicks, who is somehow only 28 with A potential, so he should get a lot better. Taking a first look at this roster, this is going to be an interesting team to work with. The top 6 players on here, a lot of them are guards and all of them are seniors. But apparently we're already getting signings that their old coach went after. I don't really appreciate this because we could have had 6 scholarships available, but instead we have to deal with a few of them going to 2 stars I didn't want. Though I might be able to get behind a couple of them because this kid, for example, has B+ potential. With our final scholarship, I'm able to go after anybody else though. I'm probably going to look for a small forward or a shooting guard. And one thing I learned from Morehead State is if there's no one else going after some of these 4-star guards, sometimes you can get super lucky. As long as we get one of those 2 guys, I'm not going to care where the other players on our board come in. And finding out a little bit more about Matthew Lynch, the shooting guard says one of his priorities is playing at a big program, so that could hold us back. The farther we get into off-season recruiting though, I never offered Stephen Powers a scholarship. Oregon's probably going to land him, while Matthew Lynch we're just holding out hoping that Kentucky and Alabama don't throw one his way. I was getting under 200 points to spend a week on recruiting, so I could only focus on one player. And worst case scenario, we do have a backup plan in case we don't land that shooting guard because there's this international player that has no other schools going after him. It also seems like Stephen Powers decided on Oregon, so it really comes down to this. The final week of recruiting, I could decide to move our scholarship over to the 3-star shooting guard and lock that in. Or I could hold out for Matthew Lynch, who still doesn't have any other scholarship offers, and hope for the best. What I did feels like the right decision. We'll see where he decides on. He is signed with Miami, Ohio, and he's going to come in as a 76 overall, but we have a major issue. All those seniors I thought that we were going to have left the team. That's right, we had a bunch of point guards. Now we're left with these 3 point guards that don't look too good besides Jamal Grubber. And that's why I'll be moving Depot Valdez over to point guard because he is 74 handling, 70 passing. Not the best, but it's going to have to do. He drops down to a 67. I think we'll live with that. The only good guard on this team is Matthew Lynch. Outside of him, we have got to recruit some more. And I think with this lineup, we could have a decent year in the MAC conference. I'm just not sure how it compares to some of the other teams. Now, one thing in episode 1 I asked for in the comments was help. So there's been a lot of comments like this one that are going to help guide us throughout this rebuild. And so as I get into recruiting, there's important stuff to keep in mind. Like if I want to sign a small forward, I should change every small forward's position to something else on our team. And I'm excited for what I've come up with on our board so far. There's a couple players like this center that was interested off the rip. We have to go after him. But if we move past that 3-star, there's a 4-star shooting guard, Mr. Basketball in Indiana, that would consider us. And then Mr. Basketball in Minnesota is the same way, while this small forward is going to be a bit more of a battle. I want to set the standards high for Miami basketball. We had 4 visits in 1 week. And by the time that we can offer scholarships, we're going to be doing that immediately. I had to make a decision though on who got that, so we gave one to the center, Kalen. We also gave one to Chaz Norton, the 4-star shooting guard, and finally, Louis Richards got the 3rd scholarship. One thing the 4-star small forward values is getting more playing time, feeling wanted, so I think that's why we were able to jump up to 1st place. But as a result of all that other spending, all I can do is really phone and email this other 4-star, which means we're falling out of the battle for him. I've chosen the players I want specifically, and since I really need to land a small forward, I changed every small forward's position on this roster to where we have none of them. And look at how big of a difference that meant for Louis Richards. We went from 93% all the way up to 100%. We might just get him to commit before our first game of the season. We'll see how we do in that. I'm hoping that we can beat Lipscomb, but we don't. And after we simulate this game against UNLV, there's a big thing coming up. They're currently undefeated, so I am not expecting us to win this game. They beat us by 8. But the recruit signing period has started. And there it is. Louis Richard has signed with Miami, Ohio. Ohio. We lost out on Chaz Norton to Michigan. He would rather play for a bigger school, which I fully understand, but we also signed Kalen at center. And we still have one scholarship left, which could go to this shooting guard from France or a 4-star in the offseason. I'm pretty sure the national rank of these two signings can change throughout the year as well, so they could get better. They could also get worse. And at least we've started the process of trying to rebuild a newer small school in the MAC conference, which is a big upgrade. They had 2 tournament bids last year. I know this current team isn't the best. Our team unity still needs to get a lot higher. We need more game experience too. And I'm just glad that attendance is staying pretty high. 88% is solid. We weren't getting that at Morehead State, even with a lot of success, though I will say we're scoring way too few points per game. There's a reason for that though. One of our best offensive scorers, Diamond Bills, who I moved back to small forward now, has had a sprained ankle for a few weeks. And he's almost over it, which is really important because we just beat Liberty and we're about to play Morehead State. This is my former school that I left. They've gotten off to a 6-3 start. And it looks like if I would have just stayed with Morehead State, we would have had an 83 overall roster. I was making the long-term play by switching to Miami, Ohio though, for trying to win a championship with a 1-star school. Against them, we're going to beat them by 15. That's what I like to see. And if you didn't see episode 1, I basically just simulate throughout the entire regular season, but once we get to the conference tournament, once we get to March Madness, that's when I like to hop in and actually play. For how bad our non-conference schedule started off, I'm excited with what we're doing in MAC conference play. We've only lost 1 conference game so far. Against Kent State, we are going to beat them too. And as we approach the halfway point in league play, we're tied for first place with Akron. I love to see this. It's also nice to know that the MAC conference got 2 bids last year. I know that the way we're playing, we're not going to be eligible for an at-large bid this season. But I find it nice to know in the future it will be possible, and we ended the regular season with a loss to Central Michigan. When it comes to our stats compared to other teams in our conference though, we averaged the 4th most points per game, so that's probably where we're sitting in the standings. And our best player by far, even with Damon Bills coming back healthy from injury, was Jacob Mom's player, 16 points per game, but he's injured right now. I'm actually extremely concerned because he has 26 days where he'll be out with a broken finger. He might be able to play on it, but Matthew Lynch and Diamond Bills, 2 of our other best players, are also out. I'm not sure if we're going to have any of them for our conference tournament. Akron is clearly the best team in our conference. Outside of them though, we're number 2. And just because I'm curious, seeing if it would have been better to stay at Morehead State, it looks like they finished 22-9, 17-3 in Ohio Valley play. With an RPI at 147 though, they need to win their conference tournament to make it to March Madness, just like we need to. We have a long way to go. But I am happy that Akron's on the top half of the bracket, because if we're going to play them, it'd have to be in the championship. With Bowling Green beating Toledo by 4 points, that's going to be our first opponent. They went like 9-19 this season. And I don't know if I should feel comfortable simming this, but I'm going to. We're already dealing with injuries. I really don't know what to expect out of this team. If we can beat them, that's going to be great. But it was only by 3 points, and our leading scorer came off of the bench as a junior center. It really stinks, but we are going to be without Matthew Lynch and Damon Bills. I wanted to play with the 4-star in my first game with Miami, Ohio. That's not going to happen. Mom's player's playing through his injury. And I'm just surprised at how confident our team is. Everybody's above 90% besides Matthew Lynch, who isn't even out there. To get by Buffalo, it's going to be tough, but if we do, we're going to play the winner of Akron and Eastern Michigan. And there's still a real chance we win the MAC conference in my first season coaching there. This is my first game on College Hoops 2K8 in about a week though. I remember last week I was struggling. And why are we playing this on Cleveland State's court? This must be where the Cavs play, and that's the only court they have for them in the game. I like that they've already missed a shot. We shouldn't be putting this up, but we still drill it. And I did learn from the comments that that little phone signal thing that's on the player right next to their name, that tells you where their hot spots are at. So like they hit that shot because they had a hot spot right there. We need to make this. And it's nice to know whenever I can leave their guards open. Like, he's not going to hit a 3 from there. You all really helped me in the comments getting better at this game. We're trying to pass it around, though, and that's a steal. So maybe I should go back to shooting 3s. I know you all said you wanted to see less of them. But ever since slowing things down offensively, we've not been able to be as successful. But it's okay. I remembered that I can call plays as well, that I can start to figure it out. And what happened? Apparently, we had a shot clock violation. They're going to miss that shot, though, even though it was in one of their hot spots. And I think the game's trying to help me run some plays. They have some white spots underneath on players. We're going to make that. Good high percentage looks. That's how we're going to beat Buffalo, make it to the MAC championship. And you all also said to release this at the very top of their shot, which is going to help. I knew that's how shooting worked on old basketball games, but for whatever reason, it's just hard to tell sometimes. We grab this board. That's our best player going to work. And the kid might have a broken finger, but that's not going to hold him back. We tried to go for a poster. And that's from the freshman center that I didn't even want to land. He seems to be all right. If there's anything I learned from the first episode of this series, centers are the most important position on your team. They're most likely to win awards. He was able to get us a steal right there. and that would have been a dime. It's a shame that it wasn't more accurate. It seems like we're going to end this first half up by 1, except they had an open look. And this is a competitive game. For my first year at Miami, Ohio, though, I really like what I'm seeing, better than my first season with Morehead State. And you have to keep in mind, this is without some of the best players on our team due to injury. Now, that wasn't a great look at 3. I saw the bars underneath him. It was going to be a miss. But I've only shot a couple in this game so far, and they're on fire. I don't know what to do. They've started this second half just dominating us. And it's really due to all their great passes. I mean, they shouldn't have gotten a tip in there. But that's on us. We're running the court, and we slam it in their face. There's a little bit of a change of pace that should have stopped their momentum. But they are on fire right now, and we're just dishing it. Once again, we are running this court. They're not getting back on defense the way that they need to, which is great news for us. But I think they've literally scored on every single possession. At least we grabbed the rebound. Down by 6. It's very important that this goes the right way. The pump fake didn't necessarily work, but there's going to be a foul. And it's going to be a blocking foul, so we've gotten the ball back. I just lost it trying to pump fake them. I should have never gone up because now they're in transition and they're going up by 8. That might have just lost us the game right there. Unless we can turn around and hit this 3. We still grabbed the rebound. We should have gone to our power forward more, except he can't even put it in. And this point guard's been running the court all day. I know we're not going to stop him. There's a foul. He might have missed his free throw, but we need a player like that on our team. We're already losing. And things are only going to get worse from here as we try and turn into a 3-point shooting team. Literally nobody out there could shoot. We lost 32-22. And I think you can see with my skill level why it's going to be really hard to win a championship with a 1-star school. It is unfortunate, but we're not going to be a part of Selection Sunday. And one of the other conferences I could have gone to with Troy, the Sun Belt, had 2 bids. The MAC isn't going to have that luxury because somehow Akron lost to Buffalo in the conference championship. And with an RPI 62, the Zips had a pretty good season, but they didn't do enough to get in that large bid. Meanwhile, our RPI sat at 170. I'm curious about where our conference was ranked this season. It was 17. And oh great, this is when freshman Matthew Lynch is going to return from injury. Someone needs to let them know the season's already over, though I went just out of curiosity to see how Morehead State did, and they lost in the first round of Tennessee Tech. So that's an embarrassment for them, but Buffalo didn't have any success in the tournament. They lost in the first round of Dayton. The Final Four looked like this, and the championships between California and Maryland. I also hate to point this out, but Troy was an 8 seed, and they won their first round game, which is only relevant because that's a team I could have coached. Anyway, Maryland was a 95 overall. No wonder they won it all. It's nice to know that's where we need to get to win it all, but that's a long way away. Diamond Bills is graduating after not playing in the conference tournament. Jacob Montplair is also gone. And that's our best 2 scorers that aren't returning, but if you look at our first year at Miami, Ohio compared to our first year at Morehead State, this is manageable. It's going to be harder for me to get attribute upgrades, but I'm going to continue to pour them into our offense. I want us to score a lot. And if we want our players to progress, at least one of our coordinators need to be good at teaching, which means Hubbard is also gone. I know Cochran's a little bit older as an assistant coach, but he is A- teaching. He also is A- ambition. And to this day, we have still yet to land a single player out of the transfer portal. This is where things get good though. It's off-season recruiting. We have to find at least one player to go after. And I don't love that we're going for another shooting guard, but we have a ton of points to spend this week. 631. I decided to start looking at some 3-star point guards as well though, just in case I did want to fill that position, though this kid only comes in at 5'9". It might be a little bit risky, but looking at the 2 4-star shooting guards, Cheek Matthews has a lot less assists per game than Levi Warner, who I might move over to point guard anyway at 6'6". And I could regret this going forward, but I'm going to take back the scholarship offer on Matthews and then put it over to Warner. That's going to get us up to first place for Levi, but it also means we're not going to be as high in the running for Matthews. And then for some of the 3-star point guards, I was trying to scout them to see their potential, but none of it looks like it's going to be great. A couple weeks later, I think I can safely say we're actually going to get one of the 2 4-stars. It's going to be whichever one we choose. And I actually think I'm going to flip again. Levi Warner might be taller, but his shot is not as good as Matthews, and he also has a B potential, while Matthews has an A-. If I were to take a look at the 3-star guards, they are clearly both levels above those, so we're not going to go after them anymore. And I really hope I made the right decision signing Check Matthews. I think when you're signing 4-star prospects, it's hard to go wrong, but one of them's going to have to play point guard for us, either one of those 2 or the kid we recruited last year. And you might think signing 2 4-star recruits is amazing for a small school in the MAC conference, but there's other ones like Ryder that are doing the same thing across the country. If another mid-major like them can do the same thing, it's not that special. But I will say, I'm excited that Matthew Lynch has Check Matthews and Louis Richards around him. It seems like Richards might have a good 3-point shot. It's only an 82 so far, but we can work on that. And if we're going to have 3 centers that are all pretty similar in overall, then we're just going to redshirt Kalen for his first year with Miami, Ohio. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about starting Matthew Lynch at point guard, but I want him out there with Richards and Matthews at the same time. He has 82 handling, just 65 passing. That has got to go up. And let's just say that it doesn't. My plan is to go after after Poncho Melvin and hopefully sign this 4-star guard. I've put a couple other 4-star guards on our board though, just in case that doesn't work out. Right now it seems like no one's going after Chris. And since these bottom 3 prospects are only juniors, but the 4-stars are interested now, we're going to start recruiting them early. We aren't necessarily ahead some of the bigger schools that are going to go after them, but we're in the battle as long as we keep putting points into them. And I'm excited to see how we can start the year. The game experience is not there with this current team. The team unity is not there, but it can only go up from this moment. To open things up, we have 3 straight games in a row. That's going to be tough to pull off, but we won the first one, we lost the second one, won the third one. But I have bad news for the 2-point guards that we're targeting. We're still in 8th place for Poncho Melvin, and it looks like Memphis is going to get Steve Jack. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. We can invite him to campus, but unless he wants to escape Memphis, he's not coming here. And honestly, I don't think we're getting him out of there. The last time I was in Memphis, I had some of the best barbecue in my life. The man might just enjoy to eat. As long as he doesn't pull his eye on, he's going to be fine for his career. We're not going to get Poncho Melvin either, though. And it stinks, but there's only so much I can do. Of course, Steve Jack wasn't going to leave his home city to play for us. Now, we might have a chance to get Poncho Melvin later in the year, but I don't think he's going to commit in the next week. And look at this. We're a higher overall than Morehead State. I've already been able to pass up what I built there. I really hope that we don't lose to them in sim. That'd be embarrassing. We lost. And West Virginia is the hardest game in our non-conference slate. They're currently 8-0, number 7 in the country, but we only lost by 3. We've taken another hit though. Poncho Melvin signed somewhere else. And sure enough, he stayed in Charlotte, North Carolina, signing for Charlotte. So that's the second time that we've lost out on a 4-star point guard because they wanted to stay in their hometown. Fortunately for us, these international players we're going after don't have a hometown that they're going to be able to stay in. And next year, Keelan Vargas is from Cincinnati, which is like 45 minutes away from Oxford, which is where Miami, Ohio is. So as long as Xavier doesn't get him, I think we can get this guard. If we're losing to teams like Youngstown State, though, 91-55, it's going to be a long season. But I don't know what we're supposed to do differently. We're going to be 5-7 to start MAC conference play, and we opened it up with a loss. I'm sure there's a certain standard in Oxford that could get me fired eventually. That's something to keep in mind. If I get fired, I can't win a championship with Miami, Ohio, and then have to start over at an even smaller school, which is why I'm emailing and giving a phone call to these international prospects every single week. I'm serious about not missing a week either, because I can just see things are going downhill. And I was going to say, it makes me wonder if having Matthew Lynch out there at point guard's even working for us, but it's probably because we're dealing with so many different injuries. I'm so sick of losing games. There's still a little hope we finish the season over 500, but it's going to be hard to do it after that last loss. And take a look at this. Villanova, West Virginia, Virginia. These schools are jumping in on these international prospects I found myself. I don't appreciate that, and Louis Richards getting injured does not help us out at all either. Bowling Green's going to beat us. I don't think we're going to win any of the games to end the season. We're probably going to finish this year 9-18. But I keep trying to tell myself, help is on the way if we can sign some of these prospects. At least we've beat Kent State and Akron to end the season. Toledo takes us down, and it makes sense. They're at the top of the conference. Akron finished mid-table, so they weren't as good as they were last year, while we are down here in the bottom 3. Funny enough though, our RPI is at 182, which is only 12 spots lower than it was last season when we were much better. So maybe teams in our conference are just having a much better season, which is going to make it hard to win the entire tournament. I went to check the injury list though, and there's no one on there. So that means we're fully healthy before we take on Ohio in the first round. Now I'm a realistic man. We're probably not winning the entire tournament, so I'm going to sim this first one. If we win, I will end up playing the next one though. We beat them by 3, and that is exactly what I want to see. We're going to play Western Michigan. If we take them down, we'd get the winner of Kent State and Buffalo. The last thing I want to do is play Buffalo again, so I'm hoping they don't win. But we have to worry about ourselves first. There's no guarantees we will either. We don't exactly have a great record going into this one, but what we do have is Matthews, who is a huge guard. He's already making a move, and I'm pretty sure he's 6'4", but that afro gives him a couple more inches. They're trying to get a shot off against us, and they did get an open look. Now, it's important to keep in mind, to win, we got to play good defense, and we have not so far. But I don't know what else to do. They've hit 2 3-pointers against us. Offensively, we haven't done much besides with Matthews. And maybe our team really is at the bottom of the MAC conference, and that's why we didn't do good in conference play. I mean, they have yet to miss, which is really, really hard to compete with. But that's how March works. Teams get hot, and that trap is going to lead to another 3. They're 3 of 3 from behind the arc. It looks like they're about to go for 4, but instead they drove. Great defense. The only problem was the ref didn't see it that way. I thought we got all ball. Instead, we gave them 2 more points. And I genuinely don't think we could have gotten off to a worse start. We need something. I mean, what this team's lacking is a point guard. We've known that. We have one in the game now, which is helping. But I highly doubt we're going to hit contested shots forever, and that was a great pass. There's only so much I can do. We're running down the court, pulling up, hitting a 3. But we gave up 17 points in the first half, and they're taking another look. They finally missed one. This is exactly what we need right here. I'm actually going to run a play, and it's meant to get our small forward open for a 3-point shot, which is not going to go in, but we tipped it in anyway. anyway. All around, we could have done better offensively. But here's the thing, they're shooting 66% from the field. We are as well though, they've just happened to put up more threes than us since you all told me to stop shooting threes. And I might not listen to that advice here in the second half, especially if I know we have a guy that can make it. That was a really bad look. They're gonna get themselves a good look, but they're not hitting. And I wish I could say from that moment we got back in it. But they've been able to score 4 straight against us, and you've got to stand behind the arc. I think they still gave us a 3-pointer, so maybe he was behind the college arc. And that would make sense if this is where the Cavaliers play. Deep 3 does not go in. I can tell you right now, that's where this team lacks. They had a great backdoor cut that they were not able to put away. And here we are running the court, giving it to our center, who makes the bucket. Down by 5 with 2 minutes left. This one's not over, but we can't let them get a look like that. And they have a guard at the line. He should hit both of his free throws. He doesn't. Being down by 2 possessions isn't the worst thing in the world. I'm gonna hit our center in the corner. It seems like he can shoot threes. That form was pure. He wouldn't have been standing there if he couldn't. And I just realized we could really space the court if we wanted to. Now, what I don't like is they had an open shooter because we were in zone. And then we had a terrible pass that led to a turnover. So we're back down by 7. They were able to score again against us. I was trying to pass. Basically, what's happening here at the end of the game is they're just running away with it. And I have to take credit. We didn't score that many points. We didn't shoot that well either. But one of these days, we'll win a conference tournament game. Out of our conference, it's going to be Western Michigan that almost won it all. Northern Illinois is a 14 seed. And I have to mention it, Morehead State made the tournament as an 8. We've regressed in my second year coaching for Miami, Ohio with a better roster, but my job security is still about midway. And I think that's because everybody can see the potential in this team. We really just needed a point guard. Every single one of these players that started for us is going to return next season. And that's great news because our team unity and game experience is only going to increase. For coming out of our conference, NIU definitely disappointed. And I can't believe Morehead State got a higher seed than we did out of the Ohio Valley Conference. Maybe I should have stayed there. This is the championship matchup. It's going to be Texas that wins it all. Once again, about that 94 overall range is a championship level team. And I wasn't expecting this, but my contract was renewed for 2 years. We're only losing a couple players, but I will say both of these seniors contributed well. And for the first time, I have no attributes to upgrade during the offseason. I am going to get some other coaching offers, starting with Long Beach State, who went 20-8 this past year. They're in the 14th biggest conference. And they have a couple guys above 80 overall, but this is not a move I'm making. The entire point and concept of this video is trying to win it all with a smaller school. Now, taking a look at some of these prospects that you know we're going after, we actually have a lead besides on the 3 stars, which is weird. And those are basically the only players I have on the board that I've been going after, so we're just going to have to get lucky with O'Neal Jackson that Clemson doesn't want it. I'm going all out. I've set up 4 visits, which will happen like every week. And I'm expecting each week we're going to lose some players to other schools. For example, O'Neal Jackson's going to Clemson. They finally offered him a scholarship. And thankfully, a couple weeks later, Mark Medina has decided on the Red Hawks. While we signed this 4-star guard and we're about to get this other 4-star point guard, it was Kentucky that stole one of the 3 stars we were looking at. And trust me, I'm being smart. There's backup plans in place like Kevin Finley if we don't get a power forward. If I didn't get a point guard, we could go after Lauren Lopez, a 5'9" point guard. But at the moment, our final 3 scholarships are all on international players. Kim Cone, the 6'10" center, just became fully available, and then there's one school that's still in on Boyce, but they won't give him a scholarship. In a perfect world, we're going to sign him as well, though. We have gotten 2 4-star international players, which is already great. There's Kim Cone signing. And in the final week, I have to decide where to put our scholarship for a power forward. It's either going to be veteran Boyce, or it's going to be this kid down here, Kevin Finley, that we know a bit more about. It's kind of like playing the lottery, because there are no stats available for veteran Boyce right now. The only thing we know is he is B+ rebounding and B+ size, but we also have that with Kevin Finley, and then it popped up that Kevin Finley has B+ potential. I think it only makes sense we don't go after 4 international players, just 3 of them. And in pulling that scholarship, I gave it to Kevin Finley instead. I think I made the right decision. I'm excited to see how these players do for Miami, Ohio. And once again, for the teams that are signing 2 4-star prospects, it's normally bigger schools, but St. Joe's and Hawaii is also up here with us. San Diego State is as well. At some point, it needs to translate to success, but I'm disappointed to say those 4 stars internationally are not the best players in the world. The point guard is just a 66 overall. And Chris doesn't have the highest potential in the world either, which is why he's being redshirt right now, but he does have an 81.3. I honestly think if we want to have success in sim, we're just going to have to sacrifice Check Matthews overall. He's probably going to go down to like a 74, a 73, but we need to have a point guard out there on the court that is genuinely good. Just taking a look at this lineup, if we're able to stay healthy, especially with Matthew Lynch, I think we're going to have a pretty good season. And I didn't realize this, but he's starting to get some first-round buzz. If he gets drafted, that should help out our recruiting a ton. I see a 5-star that is interested in coming to our school with A+ potential that just came out of nowhere. And these are the 3 junior targets that I had last year. That makes so much sense. We've been pursuing Trevor Appleby for a year. Now I'm not sure if we're going to be able to land him. I'd assume it's going to be pretty challenging. And then for 5'9" point guard Justin O'Brien, he has been removed from our list. But I'm excited we've even had a chance to compete for him. As you can see, we're in 5th place. It's going to be hard to catch Florida, though we can invite him to campus this week and offer him a scholarship. Which, who knows, it might just be enough. Our first game of the season against UC Riverside, we're going to beat them. And we also beat UMBC, we beat Maine, now we're playing Detroit. I mean, this is an easy start to the year. Did it impress Trevor Appleby? Absolutely not. We are down in 5th place still. And then for Kellen Vargas, he's not too impressed either. I highly doubt we're going to get Joseph May, but we're going after 4 stars. The last target I had on our board was this high school freshman from Brazil. I'm just keeping an eye on him early. And I put Eastern Kentucky on the schedule. I never realized they got this bad though. I just wanted to coach against an old rival where almost all of our starters had double digits in points. And if anything, our freshman center from the bench is starting to show out better than our starter. I hate to see that Matthew Lynch is hurt, but I was going to say, I don't know how much of a difference it makes to start players that are performing better in sim. And that's why I'm not going to do it yet. Matthew Lynch is just out with a sprained wrist for a couple days though. That's manageable. Against Morehead State, we are going to lose to them by 1. And this is the first time since I've left them that they've beaten us. I remember recruiting Ronnie Weathers. I built the team that just handed us our first loss. The 5-star's going to sign somewhere else. And he settled on Georgetown. I don't know what I was expecting. We're actually in 3rd place though for this 4-star shooting guard at the moment. And then for Joseph May, we've lost this battle to Wake Forest. I might as well be super aggressive, invite him to campus, see what we can do. But that was pointless because we couldn't change his mind. Not that we really need it, but I have jumped up to 1st place on another shooting guard. This could be the replacement for Matthew in the future. And I've been keeping an eye on Keelan Vargas for a while because he was averaging 18.9 points per game last year. Now he's at 17.8. And more importantly, he cares about being close to home. He cares about good coaching and he cares about playing time, which is something we can offer. And he's also not concerned about playing at a big program. I know that we're making progress on him too, which is pretty exciting. We're currently sitting at 9-1. We have just dominated in the non-conference period. And to wrap it up, we took down Furman 77-37. All this success has to be good for us. Right now, we're averaging 76 points per game, which is 8 higher than the national average. And our RPI would be even higher than 39 if we could have just beat Morehead State. I do have some bad news though. I've been keeping an eye on Keelan Vargas for a bit longer, and we fell down to 3rd place. But here's the thing. All we can do is email and call him because we've run out of visits for him. He can't commit until the off season anyway, so we just gotta sim through all these games. I think we've built ourselves up well enough so far to where we could dominate in conference play. And until Northern Illinois, we were staying undefeated, beating teams by 20-30 points. I was watching the scores. The Huskies just got the better of us on that day, I guess. And it's inevitable. You're gonna have some bad performances while the other team has a player going for 36 points. We are being very respected as a team though. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're ranked in the top 20. And if we go over to the mid-major poll, you're not gonna see Morehead State anywhere up here, but you are gonna see Miami, Ohio. With an RPI of 18, unless we lose like 4 or 5 games to end the year, I think we have an at-large bid locked up. And considering we're 20-2, I'm not sure why our attendance is only at 76%. We're currently beating teams by 15 points per game. Our conference rank is up to number 11. And you want to know the best part? Most of our best players are either freshmen or sophomores. Sure, Zachary Elder is a senior, and we also have Vidal and Matthew Lynch that are juniors. But we can find ways to replace them. Now, we've lost to Kent State and we've lost to Akron. So we might still be at the top of the MAC standings, but we fell out of the top 25. And our RPI is down to 29th. I think we're still going to get an at-large bid. Of course, it'd be better if we just won the conference tournament, got the auto bid. Looking at our season stats, all of our starters are averaging over 10 points per game. I mean, that is extremely impressive. I've never had this before. And that prevents injuries like the one Czech Matthews is going through right now, really affecting us. But unfortunately, what it means is he's not going to be there for our conference tournament, with our first game being against Toledo. Maybe he'll play through it, but I highly doubt it. And it looks like he's going to be out there on the court. This has got to be a safe one to sim. We're 13 overall is better than them, and Czech Matthews has been injured even worse. He's basically out for the rest of the year. I'm not sure it was worth it to beat Toledo, especially since our RPI is so high. We would have made the tournament either way. We are now going to have to throw 70 overall Jamal Grubber out there on the court. He can't really do anything well. This is a huge loss, but things should still be fine. We've gotten Ball State, who beat Buffalo. Thank you for that. And it's about time I win a game coaching for the Red Hawks. Every single one I've hopped into so far hasn't gone well. And I'll give the Cardinals their credit. They're 20-10, so they've had a pretty good season themselves. But you never know. With Czech Matthews on the bench, we might be in some trouble. They're already trying to press Grubber, force him into mistakes, which we have been able to escape from. But he then lost the ball a little bit later, and they're up 4-0. Just like any other team I've faced so far in this video, they've gotten off to a hot start. The shot clock was running down though, and they still managed to bury that in our face. We had the advantage right here. How did we get a contested look? I was trying to drive, and I'll admit, the player movement on this game is a little bit funky. But shout out to Matthew Lynch for putting that in, and why are they getting open looks? They might not have hit that 3, but everything's going their way. And I can't believe they called a foul right there. They've scored 14 points in 3 minutes. It's ridiculous. This always happens to us. And then I start throwing up shots because I'm panicking because we have to come back, and then they get open ones. This is genuinely the worst way this game could have gone so far. I mean, no one is even guarding him. And if anything's gonna save us, it's gonna be somebody like Grubber hitting these shots. What did I say though? He's not good at anything, so they're gonna let him take those looks. They have stopped the drive with Lynch, and I'm really hoping that we can just back them down and put it in. It is very clear to me that the defense we're running is not gonna work. We're gonna have to make some adjustments in the second half. I mean, no one is able to force a steal. And what are we running? A box and one? It isn't going well. With 5 seconds left in the half though, we might be able to pull up, hit this 3, it's out, and they have doubled our score. It says our primary defensive set is man-to-man. It didn't look like it was. I just want to get man-to-man the entire time. And we'll see if that ends up working for us. They still had an open 3. What was the point in switching to man-to-man if they're going to get that? I don't understand. That was a crazy dunk. And we need to keep things more tight. What are we doing? I'm gonna have to call a timeout and make some adjustments. They had a hand in our face, so we went underneath, hit him with the hook. But here's the problem. If I call a timeout, we lose all of our momentum. We might just have to deal with the bad defense for a little bit longer. This is our star guard putting it in. And the next time we have it back, I think we're gonna have an open 3-point shot. I had to get it over there. He released it at the bottom though, which is completely on me. They're pulling in our face and they're hitting. It's time to adjust the pressure. We are going to get up tight on all of them. I don't know why they won't guard them tight. And I just realized we could have points of emphasis, so we're going to focus on shot selection. This is the first time in my coaching career where I'm really making some good adjustments. That was at the top of the release. And now that they're not getting 5 feet to put up a shot until right there, I liked what I was seeing. We also can't give up a bucket right here, though we're jumping all over. You can see the pressure starts to build with only a couple minutes left. And I just don't understand what else we have to do. I want them to have no room to breathe. I also would love if we hit this 3 and it's been done. I checked during the offseason, by the way. Our center only has a 63-pointer. We have forced the steal. I'm trying to run in, but they have everybody back. And it's about time that I call for some quick isolation with Lynch. See if he can make a dude miss, get to the lane, there's a foul. All right, now I know his free throws were harder to hit when I shot one before. That was even considered slightly early, so I was more patient here. And talk about a crazy comeback for us. This is what we needed, though that cross is a little bit filthy. I don't like that their shooting guard was able to drive the baseline, and I'm sweating this finish out. There's still a minute on the clock. We have forced a steal, and I'm not sure it's smart to run the court. You all know exactly what I'm going for. I'm going for that quick ISO. I wanted Lynch to have a chance to beat this dude off the dribble. We had an open shot right there, and then they had a hand in our face. Turn around, grab the ball. We're good. Okay, I'm panicking. There's still 10 seconds left on the shot clock now, so we've got to get up a shot at some point. If we could draw a foul, that would have been perfect. But I was holding the button down to drive, and they just weren't driving. You can see that we're going to grab this board, call a timeout, and I was not expecting them to pull in our face. You've got to be kidding. All we needed was a good inbounds pass there. That's my man. He better not hit this. We're good. We have somehow sent this game to overtime. And after making it this far, we cannot lose to them. I know they won the tip-off and all. They're going to almost hit a 3 in our face. But here's the thing. I think we can trust Lynch to get to the hole, and he does. This is Matthew Lynch's takeover game. He's not a 3-point shooter. That was a great move. And I'm really hoping that we can get to the hole again, which we did draw on a foul and won. Matthew Lynch is clutching up so hard for us right now. And this is great. This is what it's like to have him healthy. I still wish that we also had Check Matthews, because I know I could play better defense with him. I'm calling a timeout. Come on. They just don't respect Grubber, and I don't understand why. I mean, he's not a terrible player. We need to draw that foul, but we couldn't. They have an open look at 3, and they hit it. All of our comeback hopes might be going to waste right now. I don't know why I'm shooting this. I meant to pass that back down low, but we've gotten lucky. Minute left on the clock. It's looking like double overtime could be a possibility. I don't know how he got that clean of a look, but we're out running in transition. I thought that we had a bucket here, and we did. You can see some of these animations don't necessarily set us up for success. I got distracted there. They shouldn't have had that clean of a look. But all is fine. We're going to try to dribble out these final few seconds, and if we just put up a shot, that's going to be the end of the game. We came back. We persevered because of Matthew Lynch. And that's going down as my favorite game in this coaching series so far. Next up, we have Western Michigan in the conference championship. And we're in the tournament whether we win this game or not, but I really want to come out on top. There was a point where I was like halfway close to getting fired. But if we win this game without our starting point guard, I don't think it would be possible to ever get rid of me. And look who's already starting off hot. I have also switched our defense to man-to-man, which is already forcing a steal. I love it. And after drawing drawing a lot of attention. I can't believe they just let Lynch get that shot off. Who would have thought Matthew Lynch was going to be this good? He's been a little bit of a liability on defense, which is definitely frustrating. They also just got to steal off of the inbounds. And so after we've played well most of this game, we're losing, but they called a foul and we got the dunk. Zach Elder is literally the elder of this team. He is going to hit his free throw. And I was really hoping in this game we'd play a little bit better defensively. That can't fall. We are very lucky that Lynch is having the type of performance that he is right now. I mean, that almost went in. We still get the board and we can't get it in, which is so annoying because they went down, got another 2, and then we got this 3 to rim out. Louis Richards has not been the shooter I thought he was going to be. I mean, that dude was just open. And our theme of having a terrible first half defensively is not changing. At least we've been able to keep this one a little bit closer. But we're about to have 2 centers out there on the court because some of the players on our team needed a break. And I'm not sure exactly how to feel about it, though. If Medina can get a look, that'd be great. It didn't fall for us, though. Now they're able to find an open point guard in the corner. I mean, he must not be able to shoot. And they're running the clock down in this half. I was ready to block it, which works out for us. All we need right here is an accurate pass, get it to midcourt. And then if Louis Richards can get an open look at 3, that would tie things up, but that was in his face. I wish there was some feedback on the meter and how I was shooting. It would definitely help us. With Lynch back out there on the court, though, we went ISO immediately, and now we're going to swing it around and not want to shoot a 3 with him, though I will take a 3 with Richards. I'm not sure he's hit a 3-pointer for us. I mean, he's just disappointing, but I can see why. It's not his hot spot on the court, which is why we just went down low. There is so much depth to this game. There's a reason you're losing whenever you are. And I think that's why I prefer it over NCAA Basketball 10. I was trying to go for a drive. We got lucky that pass went our way, and we know that Louis Edwards can't shoot from here, but we still threw it up. Our defense has not been working for us, though, the way it did last week. Thankfully, they missed this shot. We might be able to tie things up if we could just draw a foul. I mean, it was a foul, but I think that's going to cost us because they went down, they got another 2, and we're just being way too aggressive. Out in transition, they have a layup. I mean, it was weird for them. Down by 6, that's just how quick things can change. I'm trying to make something happen here, and we got the turn, which is going to work out. I really think if Czech Matthews was just healthy, this team would be in a much better spot. And with 8 seconds left on the shot clock, I think I'm just going to have to put something up. It's not going to go in, but we're going to grab the rebound, which works out for me, assuming that falls. It's just so frustrating that shots like that aren't going to work. And here we are down by 6 once again, looking for our shooter who had the look, and it's in. Okay, this game's not over yet, though they got another bucket. And now they're trying to trap us, which didn't work out for them, thank goodness, though I don't want to pull up here. I'm passing it. That is so frustrating. I was spamming that pass button. And we're going to lose this conference championship game. Could I have played better? Absolutely. But there's not much I can do about it now. We're going to run down the court, get another 3-pointer. This one does not go in, and we're going to lose the conference championship game. I wanted to win that so bad. I know that we're going to be in the tournament either way, and it's crazy to me. I thought UMBC was an easy opponent, but they're on the bubble. I don't really have an idea what seed we're going to get. I just have to hope it's not too low. And Morehead State made the tournament as a 15 seed. That's how I know I made the right decision going to Miami, Ohio, because we're the 8 seed, and the MAC got 2 teams into the tournament. So did the Sun Belt, so did the Mountain West, and Conference USA. Poor UMBC, though, was on the other side of the bubble. And let's see what we can figure out about Clemson. They went 22-9. They average more points per game than us, more steals, probably more of everything. But here's the thing. This team is built extremely evenly, and you know who's probably healthy now? Czech Matthews. Never mind. I forgot his injury was not the 1-week one. It was the one with a broken wrist that he got after that. He's out the rest of the year no matter what. And I really thought we were going to get to play Clemson with him out there. Either way, though, we have just made it to the tournament. And I just saw us in the warm-ups missing short shots off the backboard. Not exactly feeling great about this one. They're very clearly gonna have a size advantage, though we still have a hand in their face. And it looks like they're gonna come out pressing, which has led to a turnover and a full facial. I've had enough, man. I've played this for like 2 seconds. They're gonna continue to press. We're gonna have to hit some insane shots. At least we just grabbed this board. Come on. I was about to say, that better fall. They're getting a look that they're not hitting. And you know who's gonna struggle a bit more at this level? Matthew Lynch, though he gets a foul call. Every so often, I get the good animations that I want, where we actually drive to the hoop. But I missed a free throw after thinking I was automatic with him. And here comes the trap where we almost lost the ball, and that was such a bad shot. There was no reason for the ref to bail us out with that foul call. But I consider ourselves very fortunate, and then they got one back. This dude looks like he's 7'2". He's gonna dominate against us. I mean, they're also getting boards as well. But apparently they can't hit 2-foot shots either. We are not watching women's basketball. And one. Oh my gosh. We have done it. We've cut it within a point. And all that we need to do from here is just continue to play some good defense as they State just stroked it. It is going to be so hard to win a championship in this video. Buddy is pulling from NBA range, and I didn't know that he had it like that, though where was the foul? Like, I'm genuinely wondering. He goes for the spin here. Nobody is within a foot of this kid, and even there, we did not touch him. It'll be all right, though. Maybe we will hit a three ourselves. We should have. And they're running down the court, dishing it out for a three, which they drill. We just aren't on the level of some of these tournament teams right now, though we are going to hit this three. And it's taken a lot for us to stay in this game against Clemson. But we have a rebound and we have a chance. You can see momentum going in our favor. We had a good pass. We throw it in their face. And we better lock in because I don't care that they're the 9 seed. We are the higher one. This would be an upset if we pulled it off. And right here, running the court again. Who's the foul on? Perfect. It was a blocking foul. We get it. We have a chance at an and one. And it has taken us being on pace for 42 points. But we're going to force a steal. We have a chance in transition to throw it. And that's got to be a call. Come on. I was honestly expecting a much better shot than what we got. But instead of being up by 4, it's going to be tied at 21. And they started the second half with a bucket and then another. It's like all the momentum that we had just went out the window, but we get that to fall. And I'm doing my best to try and force steals, but their backdoor cut is going to work out. It would be so nice if we could just catch a break for a moment. Of course, they get the rebound out of that and a foul call. We should have just boxed out there. Instead, we now find ourselves down by 7. It's going to be really hard to overcome a big deficit. And that's why we can't let it get any worse than it is right now, though somehow they just get these open players. And then their press forced a steal, which got them another 2 points. Now we've thrown it out of bounds. Whenever a team forces pressure, it's just human nature to want to speed things up. But if you've ever played basketball, you would know that if your team's not as skilled, that's a terrible idea. They've been forcing us into turnovers, mistakes, all game. I mean, there's not much I can do about that. We just have an incompetent point guard that isn't supposed to be playing at this level, and at least we get a foul. We're down by 14 with 3 minutes left. I think this is over. But I think there are a lot of positive takeaways I can have from this game. And now we're the team trying to press where I thought we were about to get a steal. With them hitting another 3, we're simply just not going to come back in this one. But then they threw their inbounds pass out of bounds, and we're going to pull up hoping for the best. Now they have a dude running down the court, cherry picking. And I think you can see where this one has gone. I mean, we're just hoping for anything. And that's how we gave up 52 points on 5-minute halves. I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't have won after that. Texas A&M was the 1 seed. They've made themselves a run to the championship, but they couldn't win the entire thing. Alabama had a super good roster. I keep on accidentally skipping over player awards though, which is driving me nuts. We're losing Jamal Grubber and Zachary Elder, who were starting in those games. And we might not have made it any farther than I did with Morehead State a few years ago, but we've set ourselves up nicely. We just need to find a way to unlock more attributes. I have to complete more achievements. And out of curiosity, I wanted to see what other jobs I could get. Western Michigan gave me the offer. I don't care what their team is looking like. That's gross. They beat us in the conference championship. And then they got blown out in the first round by Illinois, but we have our first transfer. No, I do not want to reject him. We're going to get a sophomore power forward who is 6'10", and he's the 3rd best transfer in the transfer portal. This is super lucky. Eric Danley is clearly not going to be a 3-point shooter, and he doesn't average the most points per game. But he might for us, and before I could even put more points into Vargas, he signed somewhere else. That really stinks he chose Michigan State, though I can't blame him for doing so. And if I had to think of what this team needs, I would not say another point guard, but it's the best player we have a chance at landing. It would allow us to move Czech Matthews back to shooting guard though, and I found another option in Miles Parkins. So we're going to start spending our 700 points a week that we have available. That is so many. Now I was hoping I'd be able to compare their stats, see their potential, see which one I'd want to go after, but apparently Alabama's come in for Roscoe Wood, so our only choice is to beat out Syracuse for Miles Parkins. And we're about to invite him to campus, but if he doesn't like it, then he's not committing. It's a hard spot to be in, but he actually chose us over Syracuse. And I can't believe it. We were able to get him out of Montreal, Canada as well. Now, one thing that helped with that was I made every player on this roster a shooting guard, so shout out to the comment for that tip. But going into next year, we're only going to have Chris at point guard and then the new freshman, so it's not like we're going to have that many. I'd honestly prefer if we just started Miles Parkins, but I'm not sure we can do that. He's coming in as a 73 overall. If I move Matthews back to point guard, we know he's going to be better. And so going into season number 4 with Miami, Ohio, this is what our roster is going to look like. I don't love that Eric Danley has to sit out a year because he's a transfer, but that's how the game used to work. And when it comes to recruiting, I have quite a few targets out there, but Philip Tyler's the player I really want at shooting guard. He won Mr. Basketball, so I'm really hoping he chooses us along with some of the other players that came on a visit. As we enter the period where we can start to offer player scholarships, I don't think we're going to get Didlick. He's a JUCO 4-star power forward. I don't think we're going to get Ramos, though we could beat out Wisconsin. And then Jerry Hubbard, another 4-star shooting guard, is a lost cause. But Philip Tyler, it's either either going to be us or Notre Dame. The first thing that pops up before the season can even start, though, is Louis Richard is injured with a broken toe for 32 days. That's not what I want to see. Though we beat Oklahoma State, we won another game as well. And the second it's possible for recruits to commit, I think we're going to be in second place for the shooting guard, for the small forward, but for Freddie Didlake, Missouri has not offered him a scholarship. That's why my focus has shifted over to him, because we can sign at least one 4-star. And I just realized we're a part of a huge preseason tournament where we beat Oklahoma State, where we beat UMass. That's gotten us on to the next round. And it's the O'Reilly Auto Parts CBE Classic. If we win these next two matchups, we'd win the entire thing. The first game's against Utah Valley State, but you're going to see we have a lot of point guards and power forwards, and that's all because of recruiting. I was moving players around, so it's going to affect how we do. And if we're not going to be able to sign either of these players, I'm not sure that was worth losing that matchup. Like expected, Thomas Ramos signed with Wisconsin, and then Philip Tyler signed with somebody else as well. So the only player we're going to get is the JUCO freshman at power forward, Freddie Didlake, but I really wanted to get one of these two 4-stars too. I changed so many players' positions with the hope that having no shooting guards, having like no small forwards on the roster would be the difference maker. And now that things are back to normal, I'm sure our team overall is going to go up, but Louis Richard's got to get healthy. It's time to see what overall this team is this season. It is going to be an 84. So I can see why we've had such a good start to the year. But I think we're about to lose our second game. I think Northwestern's a great test for us. We'll see what ends up happening. They beat us by 26. But I think I needed to fix our lineup because something about it looked like it was wrong. With that change made to finish out our non-conference slate, we're going to beat a team from Chicago and another team from Chicago we're taking down. As we enter conference play, we're going to have the best record in our conference. Western Michigan's another good team though, and they're the only team in MAC play that's been able to beat us so far. I have a feeling that this might be a rematch in the conference championship, but we have to be able to get there in the first place, and we took a loss to Ohio we shouldn't have. We took a loss to Kent State that we shouldn't have, so we're sitting at 19-5, now 20-5, and that actually has us sitting on top of our conference, but there's multiple good teams from it this year. If I were to start comparing RPIs, Kent State's is at 54, we have Western Michigan at 66, Akron 79, so a little bit lower. Ours is at 51, and I feel like our conference is starting to get a bit more respect. Now you're just going to see a bunch of guards on our board. That seems to be the only positions we can land. We're competing for Jacoby Woodard, but if we don't get him, we have another guard from England I want to go after. We just know these international prospects aren't as high of an overall. The biggest game for us though is this one against Western Michigan. We've gotten better. We're in 86 now, and I have to know if we'd beat them in sim. This is important come tournament time since I probably don't want to play much. We beat them by 15. That is on their court and everything. To finish out the year, we beat Toledo, we beat Akron, and there are some teams on the bubble, but none of them seem to be from our conference. Kent State's RPI is too low, so is Western Michigan's, and fortunately for us, since ours is 30, I think we could still lose in the conference tournament, but get that at large bid. This time around though, it looks like we're going to be fully healthy. He'll be back in a day, and we've never scored 77 points per game before. I have to imagine that our team unity is off the charts right now. Lots of game experience besides Finley being out there on the court, but that's okay. We're going to get the winner of Eastern Michigan and Central Michigan. We destroyed Central Michigan twice this year, and I would be shocked if they were able to upset us. I'm ready to get straight back to the championship. I think we can sim there and land our spot there, but in order to do so, we're now going to have to beat Akron, and they're coming off a 1-point win over Kent State. I mean, that one was tight. I still wish simulating with Hoopscast was a little bit better than this. You can jump around, but it's going to hit you with the timeout so fast, which is why I just automatically sim to the end, 79-53. And if I'm ever going to win the conference tournament, it's got to be this year. I think after this season, it's going to be super easy to do so. Western Michigan couldn't beat Ohio, and that's the only reason we're playing the Bobcats in this game. Now, we need to talk about some of our players' progression throughout the year, because I've seen Matthew Lynch go from, I think, an 85 to an 87. He is a 96 close shot, and he was able to do all that with B potential, so I have to wonder what A- potential is going to do for Mark Medina. Right now, he doesn't look like he'd be very usable, but I redshirted him for this season for a reason, and I'm pretty sure he was one of those 4-star prospects. I know there was one year where we got 2 international ones that weren't too great when they first came in. We got Christmas colors out there on this court, and do you know who you see? You see the afro again. We have a healthy Matthews who's getting to the hoop. Now I wish he didn't miss that shot and they're getting the first bucket, but that's about how any game goes that I hop into from the start. Kevin Finley is the youngest player out there and the lowest overall. He's just a redshirt freshman, but besides that transfer power forward, this could be his spot for a while. We need to get familiar with this team because I think we're going to be able to win the conference championship, but goodness, they are already shooting very well, and I did not want to pass it down there. I might need to make some adjustments pretty early on, and there's no way that they have just left him wide open. Matthew Lynch is not going to mess up an opportunity like that. We're able to force a steal, and now we're running in transition. Hit it down low. Please, draw the foul. Maybe that was a dumb move to make with Check Matthews. They they had an open 3. And I wish I could say that would be enough for us to have a lead over them, but it hasn't been, so we gotta go to work. I don't know why, but I can't play defense in this game. And that's how we find ourselves down by 6 as we approach halftime. They're about to force a steal there, but I wanted a 3 that we're not getting. Great board though. That's swatted. I just want us to play well in one of these games that I hop into and not lose by a bunch. But it seems like that isn't going to happen. I'm in his face. He still hits it. And to end this half, we're down by 9. I really don't know what else to do. We're setting defensive pressure all the way up to 95. We're getting that offensive tempo way up. And all the momentum in this game is simply on their side. So we need to start the second half stroking it, which we don't, but we grab the board and they swat again. That's why we need to recruit a good center. At least we're forcing a steal. We almost lost it right back, but I want 3-pointers this half. That is what we're going for. And that might not been the best of looks, but eventually they gotta fall. Come on. I really don't understand our defensive plan. Just give them shots and hope that they don't make them. It doesn't make much sense. Out in transition as well, they're running the court, they call a foul. And I'm already giving up on this one. We're down by 11, no, 10. Maybe it's not over yet. We just need to get in those hot spots. Like right here in the corner, I can tell that's a hot spot for us, so we're gonna pull up even with him there. And our main key has got to be getting defensive stops. That's where we've been giving up so many points. I'm trying to swing it around. I mean, this is the exact look we want. But they keep on getting open shots to respond. We are being way too aggressive. And I'm really just hoping that we luck out in these final couple minutes. They leave our 3-point shooters open. I think I've had like 10 turnovers in this game, to be honest. We don't deserve to win. I mean, we're leaving them open too. And whatever I've done here is what we cannot do in the first round of the tournament. I need to be learning from these atrocious performances, but I don't know what to learn. I mean, they're just making the right play. They're making the right passes. Right here, we have an open 3 and it doesn't go our way. They can run the court, dish it down low. What do I do? You know what? We're just going to start sending it. Who cares? I mean, this one's got to be on me. I was only able to score 24 points. They've blocked us like 10 times. And let's review these stats. 5 turnovers to their 2. We shot 9 of 27 from the field. And I'm done playing in the conference tournament game. We should have just simmed it, won it. We're going to see where we get in the tournament. Maybe this is just my plan to make our conference a 2-bid league every year. We're an 8 seed once again. And we actually have Ohio in our region too. Looking at the conference breakdown, we're not the only small conference putting 2 teams in. But I feel like we're extremely respected, and for San Diego State to be the 1 seed on this part of the bracket, I am very thankful for it. Before we do anything though, I'm changing up our offense. We're going to go with a 4 out, and we're going to go with a 2-3 on defense. And I'm actually going to slow things down. I want us to crash the board because I don't want to be in fast break situations. If we're going to have any chance against a 92 overall team, we have got to take things slow. And I'm pretty sure I'm like 1 for 5 on games I have hopped into in this video so far. So this is where I'm super hopeful for those adjustments. Last year, we saw Lynch come up very clutch for us whenever we needed him. And if we handle this zone correctly, they shouldn't get looks like that. It's so hard to tell where I'm supposed to be at though. I mean, that was a tough shot. And I'm just going to try to jump some passing lanes. They got lucky. From what I've read with the computer on this game, there's only so much you can do. And especially on defense, you're just going to have to hope for the best. I mean, all I wanted to do was get off to a good start. They're 3 for 3. And when they're not hitting a shot, they drew a foul. I can't stand it sometimes, but you know what? We have a guy that can hit, and come on. I thought that was going to be in for sure. At least they finally missed. And after passing around for a long time, this is the best look I could get. It actually worked for us though. Now we just got to stick with this 2-3 zone. I don't love how they're getting these looks like that, but they missed a layup. And hang on, if we're smart about this, especially if we can get some good passes off, we should be able to tie things up. This is exactly what I was hoping for, a much slower pace of play where I can actually think, I didn't mean to shoot with him, but we have been blessed, and there's the downside to the 2-3 zone. They're going to have some open threes. Fortunately, it didn't work out for them. I've called for a pick and roll. I'm going to go off of the pick. The roll is not there, but we do have a 3-point shot, and I hope that's a shot Perkins never takes again in his life. As we end this first half, they're going to look to get one more bucket, which they get. And we'll see if Perkins can hit a full court shot. I've yet to attempt one. It didn't go in. Until the freshman got out on the court, though, I was liking what I was seeing. And they just split us straight down the middle, though if they're going to leave Richards open, come on. That's exactly what we needed. I got confused. But I think we can run the court. That's going to be a dot, and he's going to slam that thing in. Okay, so this is my side. If I'm a user him, that's his part of the zone. But here's the issue. I can feel the tempo starting to pick up, which is exactly what I didn't want. That's not a good look. And it's going to lead to them getting another bucket, though that's a great pass again. We'll finish it. Down by 1 is certainly not the end of the world. We should have been able to pick that passing lane off, though. I have a feeling that they're going to get a bucket. And what can you do about that? That's them being low overalls, though we're going to tie it up. From what I've seen so far, we need to put an emphasis on our defense. But that didn't seem to do too much for us. They scored right out of timeout. We miss a shot. And here we go. 2 minutes left in this game. You can't give that up. I really wanted to just send it down the court, but we're going to find our shooter in the corner. and not get the rebound. So this is where I can see things starting to fall apart. That was good defense. I genuinely feel so terrible at this game after I've lost matchup after matchup. I mean, they're playing me perfectly. And I want to be honest, I am only on the 3rd hardest difficulty. It should not be this tough. I said I wanted to earn a championship though, and we're going to have to work harder to do that. I couldn't come back against them either. And Ohio actually had a better chance at winning out of our conference than we did. I want to know what happened against San Diego State though. They were able to lose to Michigan State, who ended up making it to the championship. And I still feel like I made the right decision moving on from Morehead State. They had a really rough season that's only going to go downhill from here. We've also had a player get drafted. I just saw an achievement pop up. I'm not going to skip the award screen this year. And the mid-major player of the year was Theodore Hooks for Kent State. I'm telling you all, we need to get a good center like this. That would change everything for us. We are the best team in our conference. We shouldn't have lost the conference championship again. I shouldn't be winning coach of the year since we did. And Theodore Hooks will also take conference player of the year. Conference freshman of the year was on Bowling Green. We only had one player that was first team all conference. Extremely disappointing. But my contract has been renewed for 4 more years. And Matthew Lynch, scoring almost 13 points per game, has entered the draft as an 87 overall. We're also going to lose Floyd Willis, and we're going to lose Vidal. He wasn't great for us as a 6'7" center, but I feel the momentum building up. Eventually, we are going to win it all. We also have one attribute upgrade I can make. It's got to go over to defense. And if you're wondering what jobs I could get, Morehead State would offer me my job back, but Portland's the highest one. It might be time that we get rid of Brent Hicks, though. He was a really young assistant whenever I hired him, so we're going to release him, and in his place, I'm going to hire this guy. He has an A- team grade. I think that's teamwork. Or teaching. I'm stupid. It improves player progression. He also is A- ambition, which is great. He's 36. And that should affect how fast players progress, which we're going to need. Now, for this shooting guard, it's either going to be us or USC that signs him. But all it took was 1 week for them to drop out of the race, so he's a lock for our school. We also have Sean Pope on lock, and then this point guard USC is going to take, which means I might as well go after one more guard. To sign 3 shooting guards in a class seems pretty dumb, but we have an opening to get another 4-star, and we can always move him around to other positions. I'm honestly not even that excited about it because I want to sign centers. Those are the big difference makers. But in order to do so, I might just have to drop back down to 3-star prospects. All of these 4-stars are great. I just don't know if they're going to be better than some of the 3-stars we could get. I haven't necessarily been looking into their potential to see how good they could be. Like C+ isn't that high, but B+ on Freddie Didlick at power forward is. And I'm telling you, the missing piece of this team right now is a super high overall center, because a 79 putting up 14 points per game was our leading scorer, but it would be like 20, 25 if he was really good. There is something to be said though about signing 4 4-star recruits. It turns out I've signed a top 20 class, an achievement for it popped up, and that's the most that any small school's probably ever had. So I'm pretty proud about that. Now we have to move around some of these guards, and our best 2 players are both seniors, which is going to hurt when they leave. At the moment, we're about an 85 overall team, pretty similar to last year, but that might drop as I move around positions trying to sign recruits, like this 5-star small forward who we'd have a lead on if we just jumped into battle for him. I'm certainly going to have to do some work, but there's a couple 5-star prospects that might actually consider coming to Miami, Ohio, and then this 6'6" power forward was the best bid guy I could find. After a few more weeks of heavily pursuing them, I think the JUCO 5-star we have the best chance to land. Pittsburgh also offered him a scholarship though. USC entered the battle here, which is going to be a big issue. And then I had to get rid of the power forward, but I have found a couple 3-star centers, one of them being a Mr. Basketball. We won our first game against Southern Illinois by 4 points, but you're going to see number 3 Kentucky on our schedule next. This was not my idea. The game just decided we were going to play a 92 overall team. And if this was real life, maybe we'd actually have a shot the way they're playing right now, but we're going to lose by 10 here. That makes me feel very good about the rest of the season though. Unfortunately, we have gotten to the 100% point where we just have to edge out Pittsburgh. I don't think we're going to do that here against UNLV. And Morehead State at a 74 overall is our next opponent. So my expectation was we were going to beat them. We did. Against Towson, we continue our winning streak. And we're about to face Pittsburgh, who has us just beat out for Alfonso at the moment. I'm going to be sick, but right after advancing past this game, we're going to beat Pittsburgh, and it's still not going to matter. The recruiting period has started. They're about to let us know where players have signed, and Alfonso Bannister went somewhere else. All of that work to not land either 5-star. I'm so upset about it. We could still get a Mr. Basketball at center, but they've jumped out of nowhere. MRST. I think that's like Maris. This kid does have a B- 3-point shot. He could be good. The problem though is that's when I'm going to get attached to him. We also took down Houston, so I'm starting to think this team is the best one we've ever had. And then this pops up. Hank Forbes has signed with someone else. I was willing to go after a 3-star. They saw us come into the mix, and they immediately offered him a scholarship. And I figured this would start to pop up at some point. Kevin Finley is not happy. The better we get, the more players are going to be unhappy with their playing time, so we're going to have to use pep talks to make sure they don't transfer. And by the way, I don't know what happened, but that transfer power forward we had on our roster last year just completely disappeared. disappeared. He's nowhere to be found. I don't really know what happened to Eric Danley, but I'm ready to simulate through the rest of the season. There is not much to see besides a bunch of wins. And considering I have nothing going on in recruiting right now, there's no players on our board I want to land, I'll just sim to the end of the year. Now, I've noticed we've cracked the top 25. We're up to number 19 in the country. I figure if we lose one of these games, though, we're probably going to fall outside the top 25 again. But that hasn't happened yet. Our only loss is against number 3 Kentucky at the time, which is a great loss to have. And then one against Kent State just popped up to end the season, which stinks. They're the only team in our conference to take us down. They only beat us by 5. Though when I compare our points per game to other seasons, this team isn't as good as some of the previous ones that we've had. I want to see our RPI. It's at 19. Kentucky's still number 11 in the country. Ohio and Kent State are both with really high RPIs, though. They can't make the tournament unless I let them. And I really hope for my sake that doesn't happen this time around. I'm not hopping into anything. I want to move forward. It's more important than me hopping into the game, which normally helps us on College Football 25, but it's only hurt us so far in this dynasty. We just destroyed them, though. Now we're playing a 74 overall team. And do I think NIU has what it takes to take us down? I really don't. We beat them by 10. This is where I really have to question, though. Should I hop into it? And the reason for that is it's against Kent State, the one team that beat us in sim this year. I know that you all are not gonna like this, but I have hopped into this game. And my hope is with them having some freshmen out there on the court, we're able to win our first conference championship. Now, I have yet to make this happen, which has been a long process, but we're going for some threes. And I can't be upset about that. If they give us the look, we're gonna have to take it, though they closed out well there. We are going down low, and we just gotta keep putting it around where we get swatted. That was a little embarrassing, though. We have a 3-point look again. Grab that rebound with Finley and put us on the board, which is great and all, but they've had no issue scoring so far. And whenever it rims out, they've gotten the foul call, which is just frustrating. We'll see how they close out on this, though. This is definitely not going too well for us, but we were able to force a steal, and I think we just got to take this all the way ourselves. Now they're throwing it full court. I don't know what they're doing, but they have given us a chance to tie things back up, and we just throw it straight to them. That is extremely annoying. I can't believe it. But I can't say it doesn't surprise me. We have a wide open three-pointer. They'd be in a better spot if they were hitting their shots, especially free throws. They're going to go for a fadeaway. And I've tried to slow things down before dribbling straight at them, dishing it over to the corner where that's Richard's hot spot. He's the person we're going to be looking towards to make those types of threes. They're going to miss theirs. And I was thinking we might control the game for the rest of the half, but that's not the case. They just scored like 5 straight against us. We're going to grab the board. But I've really struggled to score against Kent State. It's been our biggest weakness. These foul calls are starting to get a little bit ridiculous, though. That's some terrible form. And I'm doing my best to try and get an open shot versus them, which we have gotten with Richards. You all weren't kidding in the comments when you said you have to be extremely smart about where you put the ball in this game. And it is much harder to win on here than NCAA Basketball 10, though we're taking a timeout. This is how we end the first half with a lead. We've been able to complete the pass. It wasn't supposed to go to him. And I'm starting to feel a little bit better. We still have a long second half ahead of us, though. That is important to keep in mind. I don't know what defense we're in. If it's a 3-2 zone, we should be okay. But it's so hard to tell without the game saying that I need to be going to certain spots on the floor. And that was the exact way I didn't want to open up this second half. That's not a good look either. I was just hoping that we have a 3-point shooter at power forward. We don't, but we had the size advantage there. And can we please put it in? It's the easiest shots that give us the most issues. I feel like we're closing out pretty well, though. And I have to keep in mind, this is a game of patience. We're going to do our best to respond back with a good shot. This seemed like it would be. And after getting a defensive stop and running the court, I was hoping to pass down low and get a 2, but we can go for 3. Check Matthews has range from there. They're trying to respond. And now we're in the real driver's seat. We're just going to back them down for another 2. We have control of this one, and it feels really good, though they took advantage of the mismatch. And that's what we need to be doing as well. We've distracted them. We got our shooter in the corner. He misses, but we should be fine. Even if they do get 2 on this possession, we're still up by 1. Even better, though, we got the rebound. We have a crazy lane to the basket. That's a bad shot. And I held it down for so long because I thought he was going to go for the layup. They've missed. Now I need to figure out who I want to shoot free throws with. And I figured if anybody's going to hit, it's going to be Louis Richards. That was a quick release. This would put us up by 3 possessions. And I think we have started to really get things going, at least on the defensive side of things. That's a great look, though. It's not going to matter in the end. We're going to take them down 28-21. And talk about a great performance from Louis Richards. It's got me all excited for this Selection Sunday show. We are going to be the highest seed we've ever had. And looking at the seeding right now, we're coming in as a 3 seed. They have put a lot of respect on our name, actually. But since we won our conference tournament, we're carrying the MAC conference. I mean, just looking at this side of the bracket, I know Notre Dame stole a prospect from us at one point. Washington or San Francisco is who we'd play in the next round if we won. And I feel like we should be able to. Louis Richards is currently averaging almost 17 points per game. Right behind him is senior Czech Matthews. And we actually have the overall advantage going into this. I thought about it for a bit, and it would only make sense for us to sim this game. I mean, we are favored. I want to get our first tournament win, which we do. And that worked out for us, but San Francisco could not upset Washington, so we're playing a 6 seed next. This time around, we don't have the overall advantage. But we are the higher seed, so I'm not sure why Washington is the team that's wearing white. I really don't think this roster's close to good enough to win it all. The only thing that goes well for us is we have some guy that can shoot. But without Louis Richards hitting consistently, no one else on this team really can. And with a good pass, we should be up 5-0. You all know how big this is for us. We never get off to good starts in games. And I might be able to run the court here and get us another open 3. We cannot let this turn into a fast tempo game though. That's where we'd end up losing. And I can't believe how bad Washington's playing right now. Surely we don't hit another. That was probably not worth it. They're gonna get down the court, get a bucket. And I am about to start running plays. We got the pick, which is perfect. There needs to be a foul or something. This is how we are supposed to be performing. Good. We got another steal, and I actually slowed things down instead of staying in transition because I figured we could do this, and then we get the board anyway. Doesn't matter, we missed the 3. Though putting it straight back up has not paid off for us too well. They missed their first 3 throw though. Washington is not unbeatable. And after grabbing that board, I was hoping that we could get a pass underneath. Instead though, we threw it to the wrong player. They get 2. And that just shows me Perkins is not ready to be out there on the court. We're going to see if we can get him to pump fake, get the foul, or maybe a bucket. Louis Richards is our key to success right now. It's also great that they're not shooting well. And here we are running the court once again with a pass down to him, and he slams it. This is peak performance right here. Maybe I am finally starting to figure things out a little bit. Please do not go in. And I'm gonna do my best to run a very quick play. We have to wait for the ISO. Right there, we get the look we wanted, but it's short. That wasn't a terrible look though. I wanted to make sure we'd get one more possession before the end of the half. I'm not sure what they're planning on doing here. That cannot work. We knew exactly where it was going, and now we have to call a timeout. There is potential. We throw this inbounds pass, we catch it, and we are able to hit this shot. And now that we're thinking a bit more, we're playing way better. Now, I will admit, Washington is just a really good matchup for us, though it does help when you don't give up 10 points in the first 2 minutes. And they had to work for those 10 points that they have right now. I'm trying to run a play, see what we can do. And I feel like I'll get better with this the longer we use it, but that cannot be the look we just got. He needed to be much closer to the arc. And it's crucial I don't get too confident because right now they're starting to lock us up. We're going to have to move this around and probably just put up a shot in their face. So they have stepped it up defensively in this half, and I don't love this as a 3-point shot, which is why I shouldn't have shot it. That little bit of hesitation will be enough to not make it, though right here we had the same look. And I can't be upset at the miss. We had a clean release. They're going to hit the layup though. We're in a little bit of a drought, and after they stole the ball away, they're going to tie things up. And this has been a very rough start to this half. I mean, we got to grab that ball at least. We've scored 0 points. I don't know what I'm doing wrong now. I thought I was doing everything right in the first half, and I am starting to panic because they've adjusted so well that I haven't been able to do a thing. Drawing that foul is so clutch for us, though the screen is going to be shaking. And how was I supposed to know what Finley's release was like? He's a very young player for us. This is actually really bad. They've been able to go underneath, and then they lost the ball. But we were at least able to still stop them on their last possession. They just get it back, and they're going to have another shot at 3. Minute left on the clock. That is not the dagger, but it hurts us greatly. I can't be looking to respond with the 3 ourselves. Though if they're going to give it to us, I might just try and take it. That moment in this game is going to cost us because they would then go down this court, score another bucket. I'm telling you, we didn't have an offense outside of him. But I could have worked it underneath. I just thought this game was a lock. Forbes has missed a free throw before. He is not going to hit this. And so that means this one's not over, but we are going to need a quick bucket. That has not come either. We're going to have to just pull up from 3 or something. I am panicking. Get it to our 3-point shooter. 6 seconds left on the clock now. What am I even doing? I just went an entire half without scoring a single point. I don't care they were the higher overall team and that they were solid. I never want to talk about it ever again. I'm not even happy Kentucky won the national championship. 100 shot by overall. Why can't we have that? I mean, we're building a good program here. We had a walk-on that's a 75 overall by the time he graduates. We had Louis Richards, who's an 84. We had Czech Matthews, who's going to enter the draft. And we finally made it past the first round, but I just can't believe we lost that that game, we're going to get our defense up to a B-. Of the job offers that are out there, we're going to see how long it takes to get one. SMU in Conference USA isn't the best, but I am starting to get more respect, and one thing I learned last year was it's helpful to have another coach that has charisma, so this is my new hire. Nobody's going to come to our team out of the transfer portal though, and we only have a couple scholarships available. You can see of the 4 stars that are out there, there's like no big men, so we're going to once again have to pursue some guards, and getting guys like Neil Bynum have not been our problem. It's the actual centers, and in the final week of recruiting, I'm not sure we're even going to get this 5'8" point guard because it looks like we have a better chance at just offering a scholarship to the 6'10" Serbian center. But if we do that, we're going to have no chance at landing a 4-star next year since we already have a few centers on this roster. I don't even remember going after Joey Wiley. It looks like at the end of the day, Chris is going to sign with Miami, Ohio. But even if we're filling up that threshold of continuing to sign 2 4-stars, I'm not sure I want a 5'8" point guard. He's only going to be a 72 overall, while Neil Bynum comes in as a 75 overall, but we have so many guards on this roster at this point, and I just realized our backup point guard, Chris, who comes from Senegal, has an 87 3-pointer, the highest we've ever had. From top to bottom, this team is pretty nice, though I really want to sign a big center. We have 1 scholarship, so all I can focus in on is trying to get 1 center. And it's also the first time I can watch the season preview show and hope that we show up. I feel like there's a chance we are ranked inside the top 25, but unfortunately that wasn't the case even if we're starting the year as an 87. We keep getting a little bit better every season, and there are these JUCO small forwards that are interested as 5-star prospects. Just like last year, we actually jumped out to a lead for Danny Carr, not on Kentrell Diaz, but I'm gonna offer him a scholarship and try to sign our first 5-star. It's going better than any of these battles for the centers and power forwards. I think Michigan's gonna get Kevin Weathers. We might stand a chance for Denim Thompson, but then as I'm simming, it just hit me that we only have 1 scholarship available and Mark Medina's already injured. With all that bad news, I figured we'd lose to Butler, but no, we beat them by 21. It's our center that scores all the points. And you might call me crazy for this, but I'm about to pull out a Danny Carr and then put all of our efforts into 6'11" Denim Thompson because he could be moved to center. I really don't want to pull out of him because that would mean signing a 5-star prospect, but that's going to be such a hard decision to make. Freddie Didlake's also out for 29 days, so we've had 2 major injuries and it still has not stopped us from remaining undefeated. We're going 4-0, but I'd love to see Mark Medina back. He deserves it. He has A- potential. And if you haven't already noticed, I've been trying to redshirt basically every player on our roster, which gives them 1 more year at Miami, Ohio. That's probably why it feels like guys stick around forever. We have such a lead on Danny Carr. I think I can pull his scholarship and then we are still going to have a lead while we can put it on our new player. In a perfect world, we sign 6'11" Denim Thompson, and we'll see whether or not that actually happens. Our first loss came against Purdue by 1 point. The recruiting signing period has started, and there it is. We passed up on our first 5-star, but it might be worth it. My thought process is we really struggle to get big men, and then when it comes to rebounds, Denman Thompson's averaging 10.6 a game. He's averaging a double-double, while also having B+ potential and a B- 3-pointer. He's the perfect player. It would have been cool to land one of these 5-star prospects, but I don't like the potential as much on Danny Carr. And after losing interest in him, we have completely fallen off the board. I'm sure we can get one of these 5-stars next year. I've also lined up a couple centers. I'm hoping that we are still in their top 10 once it gets to that point. And with nothing else to do, I'm just going to sim to the end of the year. We're starting this at 1-8, or 8-1, and then we're going to beat Georgia Tech. So we're going into conference play in the top 25 at 12-1. And ever since that moment, we have not lost. We've been able to rise up to number 14 in the country. I think we're just going to run our conference like last year. And I feel like I'm controlling the Gonzaga of the MAC at the moment. We just went 29-1. We were a 1-point loss away from Purdue for still being undefeated. This is what having a good center can do. Kalen got up to an 83 and averaged almost 18 points per game off of being great. And do you know what his potential was? Only a C+. What's crazy is we might actually be a top 2 seed in the tournament. We're on a 24-game win streak. Our RPI ranking is going to be number 10. And our center is so good that he has something called coach on the floor, which I imagine only makes us play better. Now, we are going to be missing a couple players. Jacoby Woodard is injured at the moment with a sprained wrist, and then Joey Wiley's out for the rest of the year. But it says he can still be out there on the court. Now, I have adjusted this lineup a little bit because I want 3-point shooters out there. Didlake can hit 3s. This is Chris. This is the guy that had 87 3-pointer. Now it's up to an 89. And I'm very curious to watch college hoops tonight. I wonder if they're going to talk about Miami, Ohio since we're a top 10 team. The fact that this is the depth we get in Dynasty on a game that's 20 years old blows my mind. Like the highlights. I think I pointed them out in the last video. They have highlights of games I didn't participate in. And they're even giving us game previews for the conference tournaments. There's also games of the week. Michigan came out on top of this rivalry, but they never talked about Miami, Ohio. It's time to sim our conference tournament. And with the way we played in conference play, I am so confident I'm not even going to go game by game. I feel like we're just going to run the table, which I think we did. I saw wins pop up for a split second. If we didn't, we're about to find out. And we're not inside the top top 10. We're at number 11, but we're 32-1. We got ourselves a 2 seed though, which is amazing. And look at the Mountain West and Conference USA, both putting in 3 teams. Ever since we stopped losing in the conference tournament, our conference has kind of fallen off a bit, but it's still considered the 12th best in the country. And a couple teams like Ohio and Akron had decent RPIs, they just needed to win a few more games. When I take a look at our region on our part of the bracket, I'm actually not too worried about it. On our side at least, we have UMass, we have Southern Miss up here, Rhode Island. I mean, we're probably going to play Florida. But first we have to get past Tennessee State, who won the Ohio Valley Conference. If I never left Morehead State, that's where I'd be at. I didn't know it'd be possible to get a 2 seed out of the MAC. We're going to beat them by 24. And sure enough, the Gators take down Rhode Island, so in the round of 32, we're playing Florida. Even though they're a 10 seed, they're a 95 overall. And I feel like we've kind of been set up for failure. We only have one senior out there on the court, which might be bad news for us. That release is atrocious. And that's our 3-point shooting point guard. While he is not going to contest this. Thankfully, that shot rimmed out. Using a pick, we're going to get it out to our power forward who can actually shoot. At least I thought he could. That's why I wanted Didlake out there in the game. I know that we are going to have to play almost perfect to beat the Gators. That should be a charge. Instead, they're saying Didlake didn't have his feet set, so they got the free throw as well. That's not going to go in. But these refs are miracle workers. Apparently, that was a foul, so we'll take it. It doesn't really help us, though, that they scored the next 5 points in this game. That's got to be a foul call. And they just have an open lane to attack. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, they've just gone on a run. We've turned it over like 3 times in a row. And I think it came from trying to play too quick, which is not going to work. We're much better whenever we slow the pace down. I saw that 3-pointer coming. And you can just tell that if they get out in transition, we're not meant to beat them. I'm actually not even taking that. They just threw a lob and then dunked it with a foul. I know I let things get out of hand extremely fast. It's going to be hard to come back. But that was actually ridiculous that they just pulled that off. I really can't believe how many points they've been able to score. That release is so bad. I am going to have to change it. I can't play with him. I know I've already said that once, but it continues to shock me. I don't think he can shoot, so I'm letting him have the space. And this is the type of defense we needed to play throughout this entire game. That is what would have probably helped us win. I mean, we could end the half pretty strong. That move worked. We're going to get a layup that's rimming out. And with it not falling, we're down by 14. They're shooting 70% from the field. Meanwhile, we're shooting 27%. We should have had a steal. And it's just so frustrating. We've been able to come this far, but we're still going to struggle against teams like Florida. Next season, I'm probably going to sim this matchup as well and see if we get to the Sweet 16. Because we lost against Washington last year, but this one was far worse. I mean, on the bright side, the only player that we're losing is Kalen at center, so we're going to be fine. Guys are going to develop more, but Southern Miss beat Florida in the next round, and they almost beat Oregon as well, who's in the championship. I also saw that run from St. Joe's in California, but the Ducks get the championship, and they were able to do it in basketball before football. Even though our center was really good, Kalen's not winning mid-major player of the year. But I'm sure if there's an award you can think of in our conference, we're going to win it, which is just going to help us even more. Jacoby Woodard was even freshman conference player of the year. We only had 1 or 2 players first team. That's odd. But I guess you can't dominate the entire thing. We're saying goodbye to our 1 senior. And even if we're out at the second round again, it looks like if we follow this trend, we'll make it to the Sweet 16 next year. It'd be pretty crazy if we got the Duke or North Carolina job offer as well, which we did. And I'm a Kentucky fan. I'm not going to take either of them, but it's crazy we've gotten to this point, and since it's my coaching career, if I really wanted to, I should accept this. I set one goal for this video though, win a championship with a small school, and I'm not giving up on it. I was hoping another scholarship would somehow magically come available. That's not happened, so Denham Thompson's our 1 signing. But I'm happy with it. He's ranked 73rd in the country, and he's a 6'11" guy that's going to play center. Even better, we're starting this season ranked inside the top 25. And I'm telling you, signing actual centers is impossible because I was on these prospects all of last year, and now we stand like no chance. I had to remove them as targets. It almost makes no sense to target players until they're seniors, because now we have a couple good options. This guy's 7 foot, this one's 6'10". And here's our current problem. All of our best players, besides Mark Medina, who I moved over from shooting guard, are guards, so we have a very guard dominant team. And that's really exciting, especially since for the very first time, we are listed in this TV show. We're up there at number 23, and they even have a featured section on us showing my 241 wins to 128 losses. If we're getting featured in the season preview, I've successfully put this team on the map, and that's why I think I could sign any of these players that are in our top 5. With only 350 points to spend a week though, it's hard to decide which of the 3 prospects to target. target. And you all saw those 3 visits popping up. I went after Ferris. He's the center. I have to get a 4-star center. I'm going after a 5-star freshman JUCO guard. And then I saw Utah wanted Keith Mallory, so I took a step back on him. I went hard after Rashid because over here on Pierce Johnston, I just figure he's going to stay in Oregon. And then I had the ability to invite 2 recruits to campus, so I had to pick wisely. I'm honestly not so sure if I did though. At least it seems like we're opening up the year 4 now. And thankfully, even though I didn't put a visit on Ferris, we've still stayed in the lead for him. We have lost our lead for Tamal Kim though. He wants to go and stay in Maryland. And whenever it comes to Arzel Ferris, we have stayed in the lead for him even though I didn't put him on a visit. I don't love how Tamal Kim, we just fell to 2nd place. And even for Rashid Ortega and also Pierce Johnston, we're gonna have to pick one. I'm going with Ortega. What I've had to do is I've had to basically just give up on Pierce Johnston, even if Oregon State's not offering him a scholarship yet. And we've jumped back into a lead on Ortega, but Tamal Kim's probably gone to that other school. Now, the one workaround could be moving all of these point guards over to shooting guards. So I've tried that. We now have like 10 shooting guards on this roster. And sure enough, we have jumped into 1st place for Tamal Kim while also maintaining our lead on Ortega. It is time for the moment of truth. Once it becomes open for players to accept scholarships, that's where things really change. We just beat Morehead State. And Tamal Kim signed with someone else, so it wasn't worth it at all. Are we going to sign other players? We got Arzel Ferris, and we also got Rashid Ortega, but we still have not gotten a 5-star prospect. I can't believe we just fell behind on Tamal Kim. It's all good though. Apparently for Pierce Johnson, Oregon State decided they didn't want the 4-star. And before we sim the rest of this year, I have to start fixing this roster. I also took a second to look through some of the coach goals I haven't achieved yet. Each time you complete one of these, you get an upgrade so I can increase my overall as a coach. But a lot of these are going to require us basically winning a championship. The only one I know that we're probably going to get this year is Sweet 16. I should also revisit the trophy room for a second because I've been stacking up trophies throughout this entire thing. I mean, we have case after case full. And it's so neat because you're able to go over to each one. These are like OVC Player of the Year when we were in the Ohio Valley Conference. I can click on it, see who the player was. And then of course there's stuff like our MAC championships too. Then if I just go over a little bit farther, we're going to have my coach awards. I won OVC Coach of the Year twice. I've won MAC Coach of the Year 4 times now. And there are even plaques that show like our team leaders for a specific season. So this goes all the way back to our first year. It'll even track stuff like whenever we've had players make the all-conference teams. So for example, these are all the guys that have been first team all-conference. And apparently throughout my career, I've earned 210 coach points. So if I wanted to, I could go over here and buy stuff like a beach ball. Not everything has to make total sense. It's just neat to see that level of effort in a video game. We've stayed undefeated so far. We're now 11-0. And I'm starting to wonder if we can maintain this throughout the entire year, could we get a 1 seed in the tournament? It seems like it would be possible. In order for it to work out that way though, we can't lose a single matchup. And even then, I don't know if it's going to be good enough because I've seen us rise as high as number 2 in the rankings. I saw us fall down to number 5 at one point. We are bound to lose one of these games. I mean, I just can't see us going, what, 30-0 during the year? But we keep on winning, and for these 2 4-stars that are both Mr. Basketballs, I've been trying to go after. We're in 2nd place with the school above us offering a scholarship. So once recruiting opens again, I can pretty much guarantee they're not going to join these 2 players in Oxford, Ohio. And as we approach our final few matchups of the year, we're now 26-0. We just have to beat NIU. And then Akron after that, but it didn't happen. They took us down by 7. It hurts me to say that because NC State's going to be the only team that's left undefeated in the country. And here's the thing, we could lose 2 straight because believe it or not, Akron's also inside the top 25. They're currently ranked at 22. We're automatically getting 2 teams into the tournament from the MAC. But that is it unless one of us doesn't win the entire thing. Since this one's on our home court, ideally we should come out on top. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. We have an injury, and we won by 13, but at what cost? We lost our starting power forward. We've also fallen down to number 5 in the country. Our path to the conference championship goes through Toledo and Buffalo, and we're about to see how we do. In our first matchup against them, we win. We beat Ohio, and we beat Buffalo. We only took the Rockets down by 8, though. The Bulls by 15, Ohio by a lot more. I want to know how Akron lost, though. They lost to the Bobcats. If I just let Ohio win this game, we could have been a 3-bid league out of the MAC. And I still have no idea how to pronounce his last name, but Chris at point guard for us was our leading scorer. It's not a center that is dominating. In fact, Kim Cone started for us. He's only averaging 4 points per game. It looks like Joey Wiley off the bench had better stats. And I don't love that going into the tournament, we're going to be missing both Sean Pope and Kevin Finley. Now, it already popped up an achievement that we've gotten a 1 seed in the tournament, which kind of ruins the whole point of watching this show. But I guess we jumped up from being ranked number 5 in the country. We have Alabama, NC State, Oregon, and Miami, Ohio as the 1 seeds. We're going to be out in the West Regional. And our first round game is going to be against Albany. UAB and Baylor would be after that. Then we have Texas Princeton in our region. We have Texas Tech San Diego. And on the complete opposite side of the bracket, they put Akron in our region as well, which actually helps us out if they make a deep run. Even Morehead State's in here. They have loaded up this region with teams that we have dealt with. And I'm not sure how to feel about Michigan State as a 3 seed. We have seen them do a lot of damage on this file before. And as we go into March Madness, this is what our rotation's looking like. We've actually seen players like Mark Medina jump all the way up to an 87 overall. And without Kevin Finley and Sean Pope, I've had to adjust a little bit, but I'm perfectly fine with Didlake starting at power forward because he is 83 3-pointer. I also think I should be able to sim to the Sweet 16 because UAB beat Baylor. I feel like we should have a better overall team than them. But before I can even worry about that, we have to take down 69 overall Albany. If we ended up dropping this game, being the second team to ever lose to a 16 seed, I wouldn't know what to do. And next up, the Blazers are an 87 overall, but we should still have an advantage. If we don't make it to the Sweet 16 for another season because I jump in and lose, I will never hear the end of it in the comments, so I had to just sim. And I'm glad it worked out for us. We have made our first Sweet 16 ever. We have to play Texas, though, after they beat Texas Tech, and on the other side of the bracket, USC advanced to the Elite 8. We actually have a decent path to the Final Four. Our roster's just not that high of an overall, but I think it's one I can still win with. It'll really come down to how well we're able to play. I'm hoping Didlake can give it to them here. We're going to grab the board anyway, and you can see I'm continuing to work it down low because I like this mismatch. I think we can take advantage of it. Well, we had the size, we did not have the skill, and now we're going to throw this one down court straight to Texas. That is why we have to be able to keep our composure in this game. We're going to force a steal ourselves, and out and running, Chris should have the game-tying layup. I fixed his form at least, which is going to make shooting much easier, and I'm excited to see if he's able to make a lot of threes. It'd also be great if our 3-2 defense was working against Texas. They're going to hit their third 3, and I don't know what else to do defensively. We're just going to have to keep up with them. I feel like for whatever type of zone we go for, it isn't going to work, but I'm going to give the 1-3-1 a shot, even though they just tried to throw an oop against it. For being the lower seed in this matchup, Texas is way too confident. They're going to have a hand in our face, but we are going to put it in. And I'm about to see what we can do by running some plays. We were going to have a 3-point shot right there, but I held on for way too long. We still get the board with Joey Wiley, who can't put it in. And then on the other end, we fouled them after they got an offensive rebound. Here's the thing, though. I think I found a play that could work wonders for us. I don't know why I thought I could go up with that one, but we're still going to get it. And here in our 1-3-1, they get a great pass down low. It's just like the computer always does everything that it needs to perfectly. I don't know how I'm supposed to beat that. I mean, I just need us to not get locked into animations because I had somebody open and I was trying to pass the ball. We might need to get Diddy out the game. This is an atrocious free throw form. And in the final 5 seconds of the half, we're actually running the court with a chance to get it within 2. Okay, I have seen all I need to see. We're going back to him. And if Jacoby Woodard can get looks like that moving forward, we're going to be just fine. I don't know how we've gotten that lucky. There's still too much hesitation in my game where I'm worried about putting up shots when I can't be, because that slight bit of hesitation is what costs you. But then I go up strong and it doesn't go out well. Here, we're going to miss. We're still getting boards though, and I think we can tie it up. Momentum's starting to swing in our favor. They've worked it down low. We have 2 dudes in him. And now we're going to patiently work it down low where we are able to find Didlake and drill it. This is good basketball right here, right now. The 1-3-1 zone has forced them to make mistake after mistake. And that was a great adjustment, though it looks like we just switched to a 3-2, which I don't like. I know your defensive set can't stay the same all game, but it's a video game. We technically could do that if we wanted to, and this is too aggressive. I mean, Chris said he was getting that bucket no matter what, but I did not think that was about to work for us. We've been cutting off their passing lane so well. They felt like they had nowhere else to go. Again, we are running this court, and I might have just found the perfect defense for this team. Whenever the computer wants to make something like that happen, they have no issues doing so. We aren't getting the look I want, but maybe if we work it down low, dish it to the corner, and hit this 3, we would have basically been able to close this one out, but instead we're only up by 4, and they have a limited amount of time left on that shot clock. They're gonna have to put it up in our face. We just have to get this board. And I'll tell you what, I think I handled things pretty smart. We were able to dribble out quite a bit of clock. Now we want ISO. We want to let Woodard go to work, see if he can draw a foul, get us one more bucket. 5 seconds left now. Come on, put it in. That did not really work well. They're getting a layup that rims out, and I think Medina's the one that we want shooting free throws. I can't really remember from previous seasons. His release is going to fall. And now that I've done it one time, it's really easy to adjust and then have a perfect one. I think we're about to do it. As long as we don't give up a 3-point shot, which we haven't, we are moving on to the Elite 8, and this does it. To end this as well, we've gotten out in transition to slam it. And I don't think you all understand how good I feel right now. I have spent years year after year, losing a lot of games I shouldn't have. But this time we're a 1 seed doing well, and I think I found the defense I like. There's only 8 teams left in the tournament now. It's us, USC, Florida, Oklahoma, and on the other side of the bracket, NC State, Cincinnati, Texas A&M, Syracuse, where the Aggies won. But I really can't look too far ahead. I don't care if USC is a 7 seed. They're still going to be solid. There's very few 1 seeds left in the entire tournament. But that doesn't really matter. Everybody's better than us. We just had an easier schedule. That's at least the way that I see things. I'm going to take this 3 with Chris anyway, because I know if he was hitting that, it would have been a great start to the day. I might have to stop hitting the block button though. It is not working. It basically just guarantees that there's going to be a foul call. And I can already tell that this game's going to be a bit more open than some of the other ones we've played, which really worries me. If USC has a high tempo offense, we cannot let them do whatever they want against us. I feel like that's my first block I've experienced on this game though. That's a crazy pull. And I'm starting to think that unless a player's wide open, they're not going to hit that 3. That could have honestly been such an incredible pass, but instead it wasn't. And running the court, we are going to have a chance to take it down low where there's a foul. They didn't call it on the shot though, which really stinks because now we're going to have to work it down low again with Medina. This time, I highly doubt we're going to draw a foul or anything, but we did. So we're having to work twice as hard for those 2 points. If we could have just gotten like a few more college games from 2K after this one, they would have had player movement fully figured out. It wouldn't be as clunky, and it definitely would not be as animation based. That is not going to go in for us either. We have hit like no 3s. We do have the 6th man boost on our side though, which is what you want in these games. They're going to miss that shot because of it, but still get the board and the foul. Just like that. All of our momentum is gone, but I'm still pulling that in their face. We're getting the board with Medina. They're swatting us. And I've been looking at that signal bar, trying to see if we can gauge some good shots. But I feel like it hasn't really been too accurate. Right here in the corner with Chris, this got to go in. Like, we are shooting good 3s. I'm starting to feel like I'm just releasing it at the wrong time though. I'm gonna have to watch back the footage. And if that's the issue, if that's what's causing us to not do as well, that's game changing, because with a couple 3-pointers, it's a different game. Instead though, they're the team that is able to hit 3s. I want to get off 1 shot before the end of this half, and we're gonna have to work hard for any win. Here to start the second, we're trying to cut off those passing lanes. I think we got a hand on that. And starting off wide open with Chris, we're finally hitting a 3. We also forced a steal on the inbounds pass, which is incredible. I want to pull another one. We're sending it. And was that all I had to do the entire time? Just release it a little bit sooner. If I see a full signal bar, I'm just going to take that shot no matter what. That's contested. And you know what? If they're going to give Chris another chance, I got to get that out sooner. I see what the problem is now. We're releasing it as they come down on their shot. And then Medina just didn't have a good 3-pointer. But how did that get through us? You got to release these at the very, very top of the jumper. It's something that is much easier said than done. But this is another game where we've started to take control in the second half at least. And looking at the spacing on the court right now, I think we could get another 3 with Chris. That's a quick release. I've actually figured it out. It took me like 20 games in my coaching career, but I feel better at this game than ever before. And USC does not want to go away. That's the most frustrating part. This is not a good look, but I thought it was going to be. And did he just throw that pass from behind him? If his teammate could finish, that would have been a dime. I feel like we need to be taking time off the clock. And one thing I've had an issue with is calling pick and rolls in this game. It doesn't seem to work out too well for us, but we could have had that. Now they've pushed it down the court, hoping to get that 3-point shot that they're not going to make. Are you serious right now? We got the block. I feel like the luckiest man in the world. I'm sitting right here until they foul us. We have not gotten like any blocks, but we have 2 in this game. And I think I have had just as many throughout the rest of this rebuild, which is kind of crazy. Great little pass that wasn't supposed to be. And if they don't hit a 3-pointer, this game's over, which they're not. That means we have moved on to the final 4. And once again, even if he struggled on a couple of his 3-point shots, we have found our guy. I'm actually so excited to watch college hoops tonight. They have to talk about him. But instead, they're talking about some kid from Wyoming as the player of the week. Is this in the NIT? I genuinely think all these game of the weeks have nothing to do with March Madness. Syracuse lost like 14 games this season. Finally, though, something popped up about the tournament. It's a big game preview for us versus the Gators. And the second they started showing highlights, the show ended. It literally went for like half a second, but you know what? All we have to do is beat 4-seeded Florida and 5-seeded Texas A&M to win the entire thing. And that's because the Aggies upset 36-0 undefeated NC State. I really feel like we can win it all, but I am going to do a 3-pointer drill with Chris first. And the entire reason for that is I need to get his release down to where I'm hitting every single time with him, which I think I have figured out. The hardest part about this is actually staying inside the zone. It feels like if you just let it go right there, you're good. And 5 shots in, we should be on to our next circle. I will admit, I have never been able to complete this drill before successfully, but I think besides standing outside the circle, I've missed 1 3. That's going to make it 2. So I've jinxed it. but I still have things pretty figured out. We have 30 seconds with him in the corner to complete this drill. I can't be missing. And I really needed him to keep on stroking it, but he started missing shots, and that's not good. I'm sure there's a hot and cold system in this game that also messes with these players. He's fallen to his knees, and facing off against a 94 overall team is nothing new to us. I'm just really hoping that they aren't a three-point shooting team. That could hurt us, because I know the second somebody gets hot against us, we're probably in a lot of trouble. This isn't a good look. They have an open three as well, but they didn't hit it. And running the court, we might want to just go down low and feed it to Wiley. What I've pretty quickly realized, though, is we need this game to not be at a fast tempo. And that's because if it is, I think they're going to easily outscore us. They have had a lot of success offensively. I've tried to run the court early on, and it hasn't necessarily worked. But you know what has worked? Letting Joey Wiley go to work, and they're going to get a three off, which is in. I wish I could shoot at that level of consistency. This is actually a great opportunity. And I put that one up with confidence as well, like they are. This is the one thing that I didn't want, though. I didn't want to have to face a three-point shooting team because we're going to have a hard time scoring, at least to feel like we're able to keep up with them. This has been a terrible start to the game, probably because I've put up so many threes. But I swear, once I try and work things down low consistently, it just won't be there. As we end this first half, though, we're actually not in a terrible spot. And that's because we've been able to get a couple more points, and they're giving us a foul. Calling that timeout at midcourt was such a big deal. We're at least getting one free throw, and that puts us down by 2. I know I can play better second half than what we just did. I've already been able to force a steal, and we're throwing it around. You know what? I'm gonna pull up in transition. Why not? Was that a good idea? Absolutely not, but we'll take this. And we might actually have a strategy here on our hands. Come on, we got to get that board. I can't believe it, but our centers are running the court versus Florida's. This is a great drive, and I'm trying to cut off those passing lanes so we can get some steals. We might even heave this one down the court, see if we can come up with the 50-50 situation. We catch it still. It's a little bit risky to go through all of that, but Wiley has the ball, and you can't miss that shot. It's 14-all at the moment. They are losing the ball down low. Everyone's struggling. And the tempo is through the roof, but the cross is perfect. They are not shooting that well, though. That is part of their problem. And the second they start to hit, that changes everything. But Medina is taking over. Talk about a second half out of him. I was hoping we got the steal there, but it doesn't even matter. We have a mismatch right here as well. And that's bad. It's a shame that even the posting up mechanics are so wonky. And that right there is exactly how they've gotten it within 1 point, but we're okay. They keep on calling timeouts. Like literally on every single possession, we're going to put defense as our point of emphasis. And I'm really not sure what that does for us since they scored. What I do know is we cannot let this run end right here. I want to just get it over to the corner. I am comfortable stroking it, but there might need to be a pause on that. You can't be serious. I mean, we're lucky he missed. If anybody has taken this one over for us, it's Medina. He should have the opportunity to go ISO here and try and get us another bucket, which is why I have dribbled down the clock, and now he's trying to get that drive off. We're going to go down low. Let's go to work, Wiley. Put it in. You know what? You all were right. I should have stayed away from three-pointers this entire time. I always knew a center was the key to success. I didn't know how important it was. That cannot bounce in. Good rebound. We're actually about to move on to the championship game, and we're not going to have to come up with like some crazy buzzer beater. We've actually had some of like the easiest games to close out in the final minute, and they're going for a three. They went for a deep one, but they have missed again. That's going to be the story of this game for them. They went 3 of 14 from three-point range. They were a three-point shooting team. They just weren't good. And Kevin Finley is healthy. He's returned from injury. Our entire team's actually healthy. No one's on the injury report. But I have to wonder, we have a solid rotation going, and if I put in Kevin Finley, if I put in Sean Pope, it could mess things up. What I've decided, though, is we're probably better off having both Sean Pope out there because he has an 81 three-pointer, and then also Kevin Finley because apparently he has a 98 close shot, so we can back dudes down. He's 6'10". This fits exactly what we need. And the Aggies are actually a lower overall team than we are. I feel like I've almost made it too far to lose a game now. It's been a miraculous run. I mean, we've had a lot of losses, but we'll see how things go. With the tip-off, we're not winning it. That's fine. We'll start the second half with the ball. I just don't want us to give up open three-point shots. I feel like it shouldn't be asking much, but apparently it is. I wanted Kevin Finley to go to work because of that 98 close shot, and we will see what his free throw form looks like. That's way too early. For the second shot, I should have it down now, but he's still missing. And what's up with our power forwards and having some awkward releases? Because our other guy did too. Either way, Wiley, running the court as a center, is going to put it in. And his close shot's only like an 89. He just doesn't play like it. Here's the problem, though. They've already figured out that they need guys shooting threes to beat us. We have no choice but to heave this one up, and it goes in. We have gotten so lucky with that. I don't know how they make these passes, but they always go exactly where they need to. Our defense becomes completely oblivious as well to the dude running right by them. We're being aggressive with Joey Wiley, and it's really paying off for us so far. I'm still not sure what to think about Pope. I haven't really used him, but he's been pretty solid for us on defense. I mean, we've only given up 4 points, and they're trying to stop Wiley. Has it really been this simple the entire time? We didn't even start going down low that much until the Florida game. And I'm just going to keep on letting him put it in. This is great. I'm also tipping the inbounds pass. He just threw it over his head across the court, and they're going to have a great look at 3. But it doesn't make the difference, and Medina is going to get the foul. I love it so much. We are not going to attempt any more 3s. At least unless it's like a wide open look. Not my type of wide open either. Like, it needs to have so much space. And the best part about that miss, which they should have made, is we get the final possession of the half. Now, I actually had a play in mind right here. It was a screen that didn't really work, but we wanted to go to Wiley, and I thought he missed. It was the end of the half. No, they called a foul. Wouldn't he be so good if he could actually shoot free throws, or if I could? I feel like that's the missing piece, but I don't feel safe with this league. I am haunted by that game against Washington that we blew a few years ago. That's a horrible start, and he might actually be injured. He is just getting down the court where they had a great look at 3. This is just like the game against Florida where they're not shooting too well. I wish backing down with these big men actually worked. He has 98 close shot, and that's why I felt so confident doing that. They had like 2 dudes on him, won't matter. We need to be cautious of the time. There's no reason to be in a rush up by 8. And listen, I might not have done this in the Sweet 16. I might not have done this in the round of 32. But whenever we have a championship on the line, we have to play a certain way. Now, as the shot clock winds down, Kevin Finley puts it in. And I really don't think we're doing anything too special on offense. It's been our defense that's been locking down. I mean, I told you all a few seasons ago exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to slow down the tempo and make things a lot harder on our opponent. And ever since we started doing that, that's exactly what's happened. We don't even need this 3, but I was confident, so I took it. And we're still up by 10 with about 2 minutes left. It's basically over. Very low scoring matchup though. I'm not sure why we keep giving them looks, and I had to take a look at their shot chart throughout this game so far. They've had 3 shots from inside the arc. When you compare that to ours, it's a major difference. So I know I've probably played a bit boring. I've dribbled out a lot of clock. They just can't shoot. I mean, even though I've just started to throw stuff up, I have no faith they're going to come back. And that's probably dumb to think that way considering there's still about a minute left, but we're running off of them and going for the layup. Will I blow a 10-point lead in the final minutes? No, I won't. But I don't feel good about that dunk that they just had against us. And if there's anybody I'm trusting with these free throws, it's Chris. Since we're about to win a championship with him, I should probably try to pronounce his last name at some point. And dribbling out the rest of the clock, we have Chris Mabuyur-Yarkia that is going to lead us to a title. I remember starting him when he was not the higher overall. I had faith in this kid. I knew he was good. And we're getting a newspaper to celebrate the championship. The only reason we have it is because of Joey Wiley. And I was hoping there'd be at least some clips of us celebrating winning it all, but I really don't think that's going to come. It is what it is though. You can't take this season away from us. This is the lowest overall team I think that has won a championship on this file. And do you know how sad I am that I never got to use Denham Thompson? He was going to be a bunch of fun. Now, for whatever reason, my game's kind of broke. I'm not able to go through award winners or anything else, but I am able to see all these players we'd be losing. I'm surprised Mark Medina's the only one being drafted. He had a great career for us. It took me 13 seasons from starting at Morehead State to win a national championship with Miami, Ohio. That was a great run. And the thing is, this series doesn't necessarily have to end here, but I might still end it at this point. I'd expect I could get any job offer in the country now, like USC. We beat them, and now they want to bring me out there. But I think something that might be a little bit more fun is doing a team like South Florida. Since I'm down here in Tampa, they used to be in the Big East, and there's options to choose from. We could even take over Texas, who's another team we beat in the tournament, causing their coach to get fired. Either way, that last season was what March Madness is all about. We made a good run. It stinks we had that one loss on our schedule from the end of the regular season, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed this coaching series on College Hoops 2K8 so far, and let me know what more you want to see.